Chapter 8:15. Fortunately, there weren't many people in the insane sect at the moment. Otherwise, the news that the second sorcerer god was still alive would have spread throughout the universe. The second sorcerer god is still alive? Ling Xiaoyu asked in disbelief. You've seen the second sorcerer god? What nonsense are you talking about? Blasphemy against the sorcerer god. Why are you so bold? Dragon Crouching Taoist asked angrily. Yi Qinghan really didn't want to talk to Dragon Crouching Taoist. He went to the inner sect with Emperor Yi and began to pack up the resources in the inner sect. He was ready to leave the Sisui surface forever and never get involved in the affairs of the world again, especially those of the two factions. Yi Qinghan, what's with your attitude? Don't think that I can't do anything to you just because you have the inheritor of the Chaos Dragon by your side. Dragon Crouching Taoist said coldly. Master Dragon Crouching Taoist, can you stop talking? Why can't you change your temper? No matter what, you have to give face to Emperor Yi. She's the inheritor of the Chaos Dragon after all. What will happen in the future if you continue like this? Ling Xiaoyu frowned and reminded him. Only Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi were left in the inner sect. All the resources were put into the yin-yang ring, leaving only an empty room. I was born in a chaotic world. I wanted to fight in the past, but now I'm tired. I don't want to fight with them anymore. When we find the 9 Revolution Chaos Tao body, we'll travel the world. It'll be best if we can find the Celestial Treasure body. If not, there's nothing I can do. I'll repay the favor I owe the other pupil sect in the future. Yi Qinghan held Emperor Ye's hand and looked at the empty Kuang sect. He felt inexplicably relaxed, but at the same time, he felt a little sad. Don't think too much, Master. The chaotic world will pass, and the light will come sooner or later. Just like my eyes, they won't be dark forever. Emperor Yi comforted gently. The two of them packed up the inner sect and returned the rest to the artifact sect. Before they could rest, Wu Yen arrived at the Sisui surface under the protection of the 2 main gods. The 3 of them chased after the wind and shadows and appeared outside the inner sect. Wu Jiang looked at Ling Xiaoyu and secretly communicated with him for about half an incense stick's worth of time. After learning that the second Grand Sorcerer was still alive, he couldn't help being shocked. Having no time to deal with Dragon Crouching Taoist and Chen Gao, he just said to them, You two go back and accept your punishment. Without the clan elder's order, you're not allowed to go anywhere. Young Master. Dragon Crouching Taoist's expression changed slightly. He cupped his fists and said, Young Master, regarding the spiritual void body, I believe that no one knows better than you about her destructive power. I have indeed committed a sin by blaspheming the inheritor of the Chaos Dragon, but my intentions are good. Young Master, please, Fu Long, let me ask you, what is your mission this time around? Wu Yan's young face was filled with determination. Although he was young, he didn't mess things up and was very organized. We came to ambush the master gods of the fiend celestial lineage, Venerable Dragon Subduing said respectfully. 3 against 2, did you succeed? You didn't leave a single one behind. This is a dereliction of duty. Let me ask you again. When the clan elder ordered you to come down, did he ask you to deal with the spiritual void body? Wu Jiang asked again. However, his tone and attitude had turned cold. Young Master, the clan elder didn't ask us to deal with the spiritual void body. Then does the clan elder know about the existence of the spiritual void body? Do they know the dangers of the spiritual void body? They know. Then why didn't the clan elder let you execute the spiritual void body? Why did you make such a decision without permission? Wu Jiang's attitude became more and more strict. His questioning tone carried the might of the primal sorcerer god, causing the 2 master gods to bow and not dare to raise their heads. Go back. Go directly to the primal chaos ancestral land and kneel down to beg for forgiveness. Face the wall for 1,000 years. Come out when you understand. Wu Jiang said coldly. Yes, young master. Taoist dragon crouching didn't dare to refute. He bowed and left with Chen Gao. Yi Qinghan looked at Wu Jiang from afar and nodded. Such a 9-revolution chaotic Dao body was indeed a good leader. He punished those who were guilty and rewarded those who did well. Although he was young, he was very steady. He handled things in an orderly manner and was much more steady than Chen Tian. Wu Jiang signaled for the 2 master gods and Ling Xiaoyu to stay. He climbed up the inner Sex mountainside alone. Although he could reach the sky in a single step, he had to walk. This made Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi unable to find fault with him. This child is not bad. I heard that he is about the same age as Chen Tian. Emperor Yi smiled. Such an old age, and yet he was already a master god. One had to admit that the 9-revolution chaotic Dao body was indeed terrifying. And, according to Taoist Jiushan, this child is indeed about the same age as Chen Tian. Yi Qinghan nodded and said, Wu Jiang of the sorcerer tribe greets the 2 seniors. Taoist dragon crouching and Chen Gao didn't handle things well. I hope that the 2 seniors won't lower themselves to their level. Wu Jiang stood at the mountainside and bowed. Yi Qinghan didn't expect Wu Jiang to lower himself so much. If he still made a fuss about it, he would be looked down upon by others. This child is a little too smart. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. He pulled Emperor Yi and in a flash, they arrived in front of Wu Jiang. You are the 9-revolution chaotic Dao body? Yi Qinghan asked calmly. Yes, senior. You actually want to forge the 9-revolution chaotic Dao body. You even used a mortal body to forge the 5 elements Dao body. You have gathered the Order Dao, Karma Dao and the Dragon Godhead. You are only a few steps away from the 9-revolution chaotic Dao body. I Wu Jiang am impressed. Although Wu Jiang was a Lord God, he looked at Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi with reverence in his eyes. Yi Qinghan didn't know where his reverence came from. Before I came, I studied your life. I respect you and admire you, Wu Jiang said frankly. He had already investigated everything about Yi Qinghan, but the way he said it made it impossible for anyone to nitpick. Yi Qinghan smiled. Wu Jiang's intelligence wasn't something an ordinary person could achieve. Just the fact that he described investigating a person as studying his life was unique. Don't try to get close to me. Since you have investigated everything about me, I won't talk nonsense with you. Keep a low profile and go to the mythical plane. The 2nd sorcerer god is waiting for you in God Extinction Mountain, Yi Qinghan said softly. The 2nd ancestor really didn't die? Wu Jiang was shocked. Everyone knew that the 2nd sorcerer god had died in the chaotic era. Even the clan elder in the clan believed it. He didn't die. He gave it to me because he mistook me for you. Now I'm returning it to you. Yi Qinghan stretched out his hand and the 10 direction seal appeared in his hand. He threw it to Wu Jiang. This was the most precious treasure of the sorcerer tribe. There was no need for him to refuse to return it. The 10 direction seal could only be used by members of the sorcerer tribe. Although Yi Qinghan was reluctant to return it to its rightful owner, he wasn't greedy. The 10 direction seal was broken in the past. Other than the 2nd ancestor, no one can repair it. He really is still alive. Wu Jiang trembled with excitement. He held the 10 direction seal and knelt down. He pressed his hands on the ground and said respectfully to Yi Qinghan, "Thank you for telling me such important information. I will repay this kindness in the future. I will return to the clan and discuss with the clan elder on how to quietly send me to the mythical plane. I will take my leave first. Get up. You represent the sorcerer tribe. I don't have the right to accept your bow." Yi Qinghan pulled Emperor Yi to another position to hide. He continued, "After you enter God Extinction Mountain, keep going deeper. You will probably meet the 2nd sorcerer god's tomb keeper. It is an afterimage. Follow it and you will find your ancestor's tomb. He is hiding inside." Chapter 8:16. Wu Yen left with all the overgods, and Yi Qinghan left with Emperor Yi. The once powerful inner sect was disbanded overnight. Many people could not help but admire Yi Qinghan's generosity. No one would have the guts to disband such a sect just like that. However, would the people of the inner sect gather just because of the name of a sect? When the time came, Yi Qinghan would call for the people of the inner sect to gather. This was something that no one or any other sect could compare to. On the Demon God Mountain, demonic tiger deity was summoned by Yushin again. In the palace, Yushin clearly already knew everything. Demonic tiger deity, go and bring back the ethereal being, but don't hurt Yi Qinghan. Now that Yi Qinghan has not chosen a side, there's no need to be as foolish as Fu Long and force him to the opposite side, Yushin said faintly. Yes, my lord, demonic tiger deity bowed and replied. Also, remind the demon god clan not to offend anyone from the inner sect of the insane sect. Just pretend you don't see them. We can't afford to provoke this sect, Yushin said firmly after thinking for a moment. Demonic tiger deity was stunned. He did not understand Yushin's order. Emperor Yi had not grown up yet. Wasn't this the best time to kill him? As for the inner sect of the insane sect, it was just a group of juniors without even a overgod. If the demon god clan wanted to destroy it, it would be a piece of cake. I can't figure out Yi Qinghan. I've used all kinds of methods, but I can't see his past and present life. I can't see his future path either. The great demon god's prophecy did not mention him or Emperor Yi at all. However, they lead such a huge insane sect. Although they are young, they will definitely be a force that can influence the war thousands of years later. The great demon god should have included them in the prophecy, so it's best not to provoke them. Yushin warned in a deep voice, just pass down my order, especially those with the combat physique. Do not provoke the inner sect of the insane sect, and do not go to their headquarters, the mythical realm and the endless realm. You will probably cross their bottom line. If you provoke someone like Yi Qinghan, he will give up the two realms and fight us to the end. There is no need to complicate things. Obviously, the people from both camps had investigated Yi Qinghan and even found out his background. Yi Qinghan was still a high god, but the higher-ups of the two factions didn't give him the same evaluation as Sky Pillar and Dragon Subduing. Instead, they treated him as a character that couldn't be offended. Of the ancestral land, the Shaman Mountain. Wu Jiang excitedly entered the ancestral land and headed straight for the clan elder's seclusion area. Com Yen 12. Wu Yen yelled. No matter how mature he was only showing it to outsiders. He was still a child in the clan. A white-haired clan elder walked out and looked at the shouting Wu Yen. He frowned and said, You are the future leader of the shaman tribe. How can you lose your composure like this? Wu Yen was called Wu Yen. He was a figure from the third shaman god's era. His cultivation was on par with Yoshin's, and he was at the end of the chaotic era. When he had just grown up, the chaotic universe happened to be destroyed. He led his people and survived. They had been hiding here, relying on the border river to block the demon god's attack again and again. That was how the shaman tribe managed to survive. His prestige was the strongest in the shaman tribe. Even though Wu Yen represented the shaman god of chaos, he did not dare to be presumptuous in front of him. Clan elder, I have good news. The second shaman god ancestor is still alive. He really is. Wu Yen was so excited that he forgot to salute and said in a low voice. Wu Yen frowned and said coldly, What nonsense are you talking about? How can you blaspheme an ancestor? What do you think this is? Wu Yen took out the 10 direction seal, his hands trembling. The 10 direction seal. This. Where did you get it? This 10 direction seal was a coming-of-age gift from the Almighty Father God to the second shaman god ancestor. Although it was not an overgod weapon, it was close. It was destroyed back then. This 10-direction seal is almost exactly the same as the original one. I was fortunate enough to see its original form once. Tell me where you got it. Wu Yen was also a little excited. His white hair danced, and his aura was a little out of control. Senior Yi Qinghan gave it to me. He said that the second shaman god ancestor is still alive and has not transformed. Yi Qinghan is just as Senior Purple Emperor predicted. He has almost succeeded in forging the 9 revolutions chaotic Tao body. I am very respectful to him, so I'm sure he will treat me well. He might even help me in the future. Wu Yen was very excited. He also explained why he was so respectful to Yi Qinghan even though he was a Lord God. Ha ha ha, there is indeed a cause and effect. Back then, in order to find out about Senior Purple Emperor's prophecy, I paid countless resources as the price in exchange for the words about the acquired 9 revolutions chaotic Tao body. I did not expect to find out about the second shaman god ancestor's whereabouts because of him. This exchange was worth it. Wu Yen looked at Wu Yen with satisfaction and said, "You are very smart. You have handled this matter very well. As for Yi Qinghan, don't offend him, and don't offend the people of the arrogant sect. As for the ethereal body, let her be. Since Yi Qinghan wants to protect her, if there is a problem in the future, he will definitely step in to solve it. He can't escape this fate, and he can't escape this chaotic world. This is the reason why I did not give the order to kill the ethereal body." Wu Yen smiled, his eyes shining. Indeed, the older the ginger, the spicier it was. An old man who did not die was a thief. He had already become a demon. Where is the second shaman god ancestor? Let's go and bring him back. Our tribe's power will definitely increase greatly. We will have a greater chance of dealing with the demon gods. Wu Yen looked at Wu Yen and whispered. He is in the god extinction mountain of the mythical dimension, Wu Yen quickly replied. The god extinction mountain of the mythical dimension? Wu Yen frowned. That place was Yi Qinghan's headquarters. If he forcefully brought people to meet him, the flames of war would probably destroy the mythical dimension. You and Xiao Yu go together and disguise yourselves. I will create an opportunity for you to enter the mythical dimension quietly, Wu Yen decided. Sure enough, 3 days later, the sorcerer tribe, who had been on the losing end, actually took the initiative to attack the various strongholds of the demon gods. As long as there was no master god present, they were all uprooted. The master gods of the sorcerer tribe's camp were all mobilized. Almost all the large middle dimensions were caught in the flames of war. The 4 upper dimensions were also in a frenzy of killing. Yi Qinghan knew that the sorcerer tribe was definitely creating an opportunity for Wu Yen. He did not want to be involved in their affairs anymore. He brought Emperor Yi with him and went on a carefree journey. The 2 of them rose with the wind and soared 90,000 miles into the sky. Other than the master gods, even the 10 great battle constitutions would not dare to say that they were a match for Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi when they joined forces. 3 to 5 battle constitutions might have to join forces to resist the 2 of them. The 2 of them traveled the world in search of treasures. They relaxed their minds and prepared to find an opportunity to break through their mental states. Chapter 8:17. The inner sect of the insane sect was scattered across the major plains. Some of the stronger ones went out to fight for resources and took risks to explore the major secret realms and dangerous places. If the overgods did not show up, no one could compete with them. No one knew where Yi Chentian and Qin Wentian had fled to. Ever since they left the insane sect, they had not appeared in the world. Even the demonic tiger deity could not find any trace of them. The major planes were still moving. One by one, the smaller planes were the first to overlap, forming a huge middle plane. The heavenly Tao had merged, and the Sisui plane was no longer the dominant plane. Strong ones sprung up like bamboo shoots after the rain. Yi Qinghan no longer participated in the affairs of the world. He only wanted to travel the world with Emperor Yi and enjoy the prosperity and peace. The two camps began to fight, but no one dared to provoke them. They were idle for a while. Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi were like immortal couples. They traveled the world, accumulating merits and doing good deeds. In some of the smaller planes they were like gods. Occasionally they would take a fancy to the talents of some children and teach them. It was an unintentional act, but thousands of years later, a group of young people with terrifying combat power appeared. In the demonic god mountain, Yushin frowned. She did not understand why the weak sorcerer tribe would suddenly attack the strongholds of the demonic god clan. Because the war had broken out, they did not pay attention to Wu Jiang and Ling Xiaoyu. They quietly left the upper plane and took a detour to the mythical plane. Just as the planes were in chaos, the Nine Serenities Master came out of the Nine Serenities plane. His temperament had changed a lot. He was like a divine eagle, and his aura was terrifying. He was stronger than before. The Nine Serenities Master's Eagle Strike was an over-god-level secret technique. It had to be said that the Nine Serenities Master's talent was shocking. With a single over-god-level secret technique, he broke through the shackles and condensed the over-god divine spark. The reincarnation aura became deeper and was no longer as terrifying as before. It was as if he had returned to his original state and was like an ordinary old man. On the same day, Yan Yunbei and Feng Wuxia had a fierce battle. Feng Wuxia's clothes were torn apart by daggers. If it was a battle of life and death, he would have been killed by Yan Yunbei hundreds of times. Feng Wuxia's cultivation realm was not weak. He was a half-step lord, and he was on yin-yang reversal. He had refined his blood again, so his vitality was abundant. His wind enlightenment, in particular, allowed him to move as fast as lightning. Killing those of the same level was just a matter of waving his hand. Unfortunately, he had encountered a weirdo like Yan Yunbei, who could not find where he was hiding at all. "Pervert, I won't fight with you anymore." Feng Wuxia was speechless. Looking at the tattered clothes on his body, he tore them apart and changed into a brand new battle robe. Yan Yunbei was still the same Yan Yunbei. Back then, his soul had been brought back by 9 underworlds. Now, he had transformed and surpassed the Yan Yunbei of the past. He was still handsome, dignified, and proud. At the moment, he was smiling and said calmly, "I still can't hurt you. Every time I touch your clothes, you'll always notice me. Looks like I have to work harder. Let's go bid farewell to Master and return to the world." "There's no need to bid farewell. Return this eagle strikes the 9 heavens to Yi Qinghan. I don't need it anymore." The 9 underworlds Master had not arrived yet, but he stretched his hand across the air. An illusory handprint held a secret technique iron scroll and handed it to Yan Yunbei. "Now that you've refined your blood and flesh again, you can return to the middle realm. However, this era is already chaotic. Let me give you a piece of advice. Don't join any camp. Walk your own path. The world has its own place. If you can fight, fight. If you can't, don't stick your head out. If you get into trouble, I won't be able to save you," the 9 underworlds Master reminded in a dignified voice. "Master, which realm is Yi Qinghan in?" Yan Yunbei's eyes were filled with excitement. In the 9 underworlds realm, only Feng Wuxia could stand shoulder to shoulder with him. He was already sick of it. He wanted to kill his way out and fight the world again. That little bastard. I only rejected a few of his messages. He actually blocked my communication talisman. Next time you see him, beat him up hard. The 9 underworlds Master was very dissatisfied. He did not want Yi Qinghan as his disciple. Feng Wuxia and Yan Yunbei were speechless. Only Yi Qinghan would dare to block the 9 underworlds Master's communication talisman. Schwa. The 9 underworlds Master's thoughts move. The 9 underworlds realms reincarnation time and space reversed. A path appeared that led directly to the middle realm. Yan Yunbei and Feng Wuxia were sucked into the path and appeared in the mythical realm in an instant. The path closed immediately. The two looked at each other and walked towards the secular world. At that moment, Ling Xiaoyu and Wu Yan happened to pass through the dimensional battlefield and enter the mythical realm. The four of them were going in opposite directions, but their destination was the same, Yeyang Pass in the raging Dragon Empire. The four of them traveled extremely quickly. The mythical realm was not very big to begin with. For half-step lords, it did not take long for them to travel across the realm. Therefore, they bumped into each other at Yeyang Pass an hour later. The four of them looked at each other and took a few steps back cautiously, maintaining a safe distance. Yan Yunbei and Feng Wuxia were even more nervous. They had not expected to encounter a lord as soon as they were born. Moreover, it was such a young lord. His combat strength seemed to be terrifying, perhaps even surpassing the 9 underworld's masters. They could not help but inhale sharply. They even began to doubt their lives. Are young people nowadays so talented? Yan Yunbei spoke to Feng Wuxia through voice transmission in disbelief. The combat strength of the two people before them had shocked them. Putting that lord aside, the half-step lord next to him alone might not lose to you, Feng Wuxia said softly through voice transmission. At the same time, Wu Jiang and Ling Xiaoyu were shocked as well. How many powerhouses had emerged from this small realm? So many people from the mad sect had come from the mythical realm. Now 2 more had emerged with such high combat strength. Could they be from the great demon god's bloodline? Who are you people? The 4 of them asked at the same time. Whoosh, their swords were unsheathed at the same time. Yan Yunbei suddenly vanished. There was no fluctuation in the space at all. At that moment, even Wu Jiang became serious. Lu Zhantian was guarding Yeyang Pass. He had not expected so many powerhouses to emerge from the Mad Dragon Empire after being quiet for so long. It seemed like they were going to fight above Yeyang Pass. With the power of half-step lords, Yeyang Pass might not be able to withstand them. I'm Lu Zhantian from the Mad Sect, the Lord of Yeyang Pass. My friends, please don't fight above Yeyang Pass to avoid harming the innocent. Lu Zhantian gritted his teeth and charged into the air. Although he was no match for the 4 of them, he had to consider the countless living beings in Yeyang Pass. The Mad Sect? Wu Jiang and Feng Wuxia were stunned. Yan Yunbei quietly appeared in front of Lu Zhantian and asked in a low voice, I'm Yan Yunbei. Do you still remember me? Where's Brother Yi? It's you? I can't believe you're back. Congratulations. Brother Yi has already left the mythical realm with the inner sect. I think he's in Sisui realm now. Lu Zhantian was overjoyed. He did not expect Yan Yunbei to return from Abysmal. So you too know Senior Yi. I'm sorry. I'm Wu Jiang. I just came from Sisui realm. I saw him before I came, Wu Jiang said with a fist salute as he put away his sorcerer god battle spear. Chapter 8:18. Yan Yunbei and the others were still vigilant. They would not trust the other party before figuring out their identities. May I ask if you too are from the crazy sect? Wu Jiang asked with cupped fists. I'm Yan Yunbei from the crazy sect. This is Feng Wuxia from the crazy sect. Who are you two? Why did you come here? Yan Yunbei was alert. With their combat power, they should not have come to such a plane. Wu Jiang didn't dare to speak further. After all, he wasn't sure if there were people from the demonic celestial lineage in this small plane. If the demonic celestial lineage knew that he had escaped and was alone, he reckoned that a large number of experts would descend upon this place and the entire plane would vanish. Well, you can send a message to Senior Yi. It's not convenient for me to say more. If it's convenient for you two, let us go first. We can talk later. How about that? Wu Jiang hesitated and did not say his origin. Lu Zhantian was also afraid that the 4 of them would fight, so he could only contact Yi Qinghan through a special messaging charm. After finding out Wu Yan's identity and purpose of coming here, he sent a message to Yan Yunbei. Yan Yunbei nodded and made way. Wu Jiang and Ling Xiaoyu went straight to God-ending mountain, while Yan Yunbei went to the Sisui water level. Yi Qinghan and Ren Huangyi were free and unfettered. They continued to travel to various small plains. They sensed that the plains were moving faster and faster. Even ordinary cultivators could sense it. This meant that the 10 great constitutions of war were about to appear. The great demon god Dao body had not appeared yet. The celestial treasure battle body had not appeared either. There was also the void Dao body. That night, Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi spent the entire night together, experiencing the joys of being human. The two of them washed up, changed into a new set of clothes, and walked out of the inn. The two were like an immortal couple. As they walked on the road, passers-by bowed and envied them. The huge city was originally filled with killing. After the two appeared, the situation changed. Did they want to kill someone? Could they kill Yi Qinghan? They did not even have the courage to fight against the two. The divine bird lay lazily on Yi Qinghan's shoulder. It was listless. Recently, nothing could arouse its interest. Suddenly, its eyes lit up and it stood up. "What's wrong?" Yi Qinghan asked in surprise. The divine bird was only excited for a moment before it quieted down and muttered to itself in confusion. Could it be that this divine bird has degenerated? Just a moment ago, he had sensed a guy with treasures all over his body moving. How did he disappear in an instant? Could it be that I haven't felt any treasures for a long time and am hallucinating? The good-for-nothing guy is starting to worry about personal gains and losses, right? Emperor Yi teased. The divine bird rolled its eyes at Emperor Yi. Suddenly, it became excited again and cried out in a low voice, "It's at the city gate. Believe me, it's really at the city gate." Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi looked at each other with interest. It had been a long time since the divine bird had been this excited. It couldn't be an illusion, so they headed towards the city gates. At the city gates, there was a woman in white who looked like a mortal. She was not beautiful, but she had an otherworldly temperament. Her slender hands were like treasures, perfect to the extreme. At this moment, the woman was emitting the aura of jewels. Divine light flowed through her skin and she was full of spiritual energy. It was as if her flesh and blood were made of rare treasures. Consuming her flesh and blood would definitely prolong one's life. Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi walked quickly and arrived at the official road. They saw the woman immediately from 100 meters away. She was like a crane among chickens. The divine bird trembled and said excitedly, "It's her. I felt this woman. She's really a treasure. She's a treasure from head to toe." "It's the celestial treasure battle body?" Yi Qinghan frowned and whispered, "It can't be that coincidental, right?" According to Zixin, the inheritor of the celestial treasure battle body was a woman. He didn't say anything else. "I don't know. If the celestial treasure battle body is not revealed, we can't recognize it at all. Let's go and ask." Ren Huangyi was somewhat interested as well. He had never seen someone who could turn himself into an unparalleled treasure. The spiritual qi of his flesh and blood was so dense. The woman was walking on foot. She seemed to be aimless, but with her powerful strength, it was impossible for her to travel the world like Yi Qinghan. She must have her own purpose for coming to a small city in this small plain. The divine bird flew in front of the woman shamelessly and kept flapping its wings. It said wretchedly, "This divine bird calculated that you must be the legendary celestial treasure battle body. You're a treasure from head to toe. You're as great as this divine bird, right?" The woman was full of charm. She raised her head slightly and looked at the divine bird. She filled the city with spring. She was very feminine and very charming. She was so charming that men couldn't help but be aroused. "Devouring divine parrot?" the woman said in surprise. "That's me, the divine bird. Ha ha, aren't you honored to see me?" The divine bird said cockily. "Why don't the divine bird rise with the wind and soar 90,000 miles into the sky?" the woman asked disdainfully. What do you mean? The divine bird was stunned. It didn't understand what she was talking about. If you're so awesome, why don't you go to the sky? The woman mocked. Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi were stunned. They didn't expect her to be so humorous. The divine bird could hear the mockery, but it pretended not to understand. It flapped its wings and said, "This divine bird can go to the sky. Watch if you don't believe me." Whoosh, the divine bird flew into the sky and then swooped down. It looked at the celestial treasure battle body proudly. Stupid bird. The legends are fake. The woman snorted and turned to leave. Fellow Taoist, please wait. May I ask if you are the inheritor of the celestial treasure battle body? Yi Qinghan asked tentatively. The woman glanced at Yi Qinghan. She was very vigilant and didn't want to talk. She didn't stop and just kept walking. Fellow Taoist, if you have the celestial treasure battle body, I have something to ask of you. If you don't, can you please reply? Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly and gestured for Emperor Yi to ask. No. Sure enough, like master, like pet. What a pair of idiot. The woman spat out these words and turned to leave. Stop right there, stupid woman. Who are you calling stupid? The divine bird was furious. It had been extremely dispirited these days and was in a bad mood. It felt that it had degenerated and was even called an idiot. How could it not explode? Divine bird, don't be rude. Emperor Yi hurriedly scolded it. He tried his best to maintain a gentle smile and looked at the woman. He cupped his fists and said, Sister, my name is Emperor Yi. We have no ill intentions. If you really do have the celestial treasure battle body, why don't we get to know each other? The woman finally stopped and looked at Emperor Yi curiously. It was as if she had discovered something. You are the inheritor of the origin of the Chaos Dragon? Sorry, I have nothing to talk to people like you. Goodbye. The woman said firmly, but it was also equivalent to admitting her identity. Before Emperor Yi could say anything else, the celestial treasure battle body flashed and rushed to the end of the city. It disappeared in the blink of an eye. Yi Qinghan frowned. The celestial treasure battle body was indeed unwilling to talk to people from the two factions. It didn't even give them a chance to talk. Go after it. Yi Qinghan pulled Emperor Yi and rushed out without hesitation. Chapter 8:19. Yi Qinghan chased after her with Emperor Yi, but the celestial treasure battle body seemed to have vanished from the city. She's in the city. There's something she needs in the city. Yi Qinghan searched for a long time but couldn't find it. However, he was certain that the celestial treasure battle body hadn't left. This chick seems to be as powerful as this divine bird, but why don't I sense any treasures in the city? The divine bird looked around curiously, but it still couldn't find anything good. Yi Qinghan didn't want to miss this opportunity. If he let the celestial treasure battle body escape, where would he find her next time? Thus, Yi Qinghan found the city lord and stayed in the city for more than 10 days. He still had some faith. The city lord personally sent people to investigate the whereabouts of the celestial treasure battle body, but he didn't know that the woman he was looking for was the legendary celestial treasure battle body. He had never even heard of the celestial treasure battle body. The city lord sent people to search the inns in the city, but the celestial treasure battle body seemed to have disappeared. She didn't leave the city, nor did she stay in an inn. There was no trace of her on the streets either. The city lord couldn't help but feel disappointed. It wasn't easy to find an opportunity to make Yi Qinghan owe him a favor, but he missed it just like that. A day later, the celestial treasure battle body still hadn't appeared. The celestial treasure battle body is clearly in the city. Why can't I find her? What is she doing in the city? Yi Qinghan was puzzled. He suddenly stared at the cup of water and saw the water tremble constantly, producing a layer of ripples. The ground is moving. There's something underground, Yi Qinghan immediately said. Suddenly, the earth trembled as divine light pierced through the ground. Even the houses trembled. The strong tremors shocked even the gods. In such a stable territory, unless it was attacked by a powerful god, it would not cause any tremors. Whoosh! 1,000-meter-long crack appeared on the wide official road. It was a shocking sight. Then, it grew longer and wider. Divine light shot out from the crack. It was especially dazzling, as if it wanted to swallow the world. F***ck, there's actually a divine treasure underground. This divine bird actually didn't discover it. The divine bird cried out in a low voice. Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi looked at each other. They were certain that this woman had the celestial treasure battle physique. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to find the divine treasury that even the divine bird couldn't detect. This legendary celestial treasure battle body could not only turn ordinary things into treasures, but it could also find supreme treasures in the world. Judging from the power she had displayed today, she was more capable than the divine bird. The divine bird couldn't help but feel dispirited. Even its special ability had been defeated by someone else. Sigh, I can't even drink water. This heavenly treasure battle body can't be the daughter of the heavens, right? The divine bird looked up and sighed. Yi Qinghan came to the window and saw the chaos in the city. Many people began to flee outside. Once they were swallowed by the crack, even ordinary low-level gods would die, let alone those who had not reached the level of gods. The city guards personally escorted the ordinary people in the city and began to retreat. The governor rushed to the inn where Yi Qinghan was and asked with a terrified expression, "Senior Yi Qinghan, what's going on? There's a divine treasure below the city. Someone has already triggered it. I'm guessing it'll attract a large number of powerhouses here soon. Get everyone in the city to leave immediately. Those whose cultivation base hasn't reached high-level high god, don't stay in or near the city," Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. Their cultivation base hasn't reached high-level high god? The city magistrate was a middle-aged man from a minor plane, so he was only a prefect. It was rare to see a high god in person, so when he heard Yi Qinghan say that the man was a high god, he was so scared that he went limp. "You have 2 hours at most. I don't know if it'll attract lords, but there will be hordes of half-step lords. There might even be some with special physique. You'll be courting death if you stay here," Yi Qinghan replied with certainty. "Thank you, senior. I'll leave with them now." The governor retreated immediately, not daring to stay any longer. Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi went down to the inn and realized that the entire inn had tilted. Many of the rooms had collapsed. Since the celestial combat constitution had been attracted here, the divine treasure would most likely not be a bad one. There was a huge tomb underground. The celestial combat constitution was sweating profusely. Looking at the huge stone door in front of her, she could not help but stomp her feet angrily. She thought to herself, "Damn you, Atlas Combat Constitution. It took you so much effort to make a tomb. I'm going to dig up your tomb today. As long as there's a treasure, there's nothing that can stop me, Dong Qin." It turned out that the tomb was the tomb of the first-generation Atlas Combat Constitution. This celestial combat constitution was there to dig up the tomb. Fortunately, the first-generation Atlas Combat Constitution did not know about it. Otherwise, he would have to fight Fairy Dong Qin. However, the stone door was completely sealed. Dong Qin used the secret technique twice in a row but still failed to open the stone door. Instead, it implicated the city above and caused the entire city to collapse. The stone door was made of dark stone, a bit like the stone tablet that the second-generation sorcerer god placed in front of the tomb. The material was similar and could not be destroyed at all. Without finding the key point, the celestial combat constitution could only be anxious. Above, all the people had retreated. Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi searched for the location of the celestial combat constitution. It took them more than an hour to find the real entrance. As soon as the two went underground, they found that there was a vacuum about 50 meters below the ground. However, the water reservoir on the surface was not damaged and would not affect the water source in the city. This was also the reason why this divine treasure had not been discovered until now. "It's you guys again." Dong Qin frowned. "It seems that you really have the celestial combat constitution. Fellow Taoist, please don't misunderstand. I don't know you. I was just asked to find you." Yi Qinghan did not want to have a conflict with her and quickly explained. "Who is looking for me? I don't know anyone from the secular world." Dong Qin asked in surprise. "It's someone from the other pupil lineage." "It's a woman," Yi Qinghan quickly said. "The successor of the Purple Emperor's lineage? My celestial combat constitution has nothing to do with the Purple Emperor's lineage. Why is she looking for me?" Dong Qin asked again. "It's about the Purple Emperor's prophecy. I'm afraid she has something to ask of you. I've passed the message. If it's convenient for you, tell me your communication talisman. I'll tell her to come find you," Yi Qinghan said indifferently. "I'm not interested. I won't get involved in their business. This is the request of all the successors of my celestial combat constitution. Tell her to give up." Dong Qin refused without hesitation. Yi Qinghan was helpless. Since she was unwilling, he could only tell Zixian the truth. Yi Qinghan secretly sent a message to Zixian, telling her his current location and asking her to meet up with him as soon as possible. "Can you open this door? If you can, I'm willing to split the treasures inside with you." Dong Qin changed the topic. "Whose tomb is this?" Yi Qinghan was rather curious. How did the Celestial Combat Constitution discover the tomb 50 meters underground? The first generation of the Atlas Battle Constitution. The tombs of the 10 great battle constitutions all have a large number of burial items. They're all Lord-level secret techniques and even Lord-level artifacts. Dong Qin did not lie to Yi Qinghan. Instead, she hoped that Yi Qinghan could really open the treasury. Yi Qinghan gasped. Once the first generation of the Atlas Battle Constitution appeared, the great demonic god's lineage would probably mobilize a large number of Lord-level experts to occupy it. Chapter 820. The tomb of the first generation of the sky-raising battle physique was so vast even in the depths of the earth. How strong was the cultivator back then? If you need help, why don't you introduce yourself? This heavenly treasure battle constitution is so rude. The divine bird snorted, feeling that it was useless in front of the heavenly treasure battle constitution. It was very dissatisfied. Dong Qin mocked. A stupid bird is a stupid bird. This is cooperation, not asking for help. Do you understand? I really don't understand. With a heavenly treasure battle constitution like mine, I don't know why God gave birth to a superfluous thing like you. The divine bird was exasperated and roared, I'm the divine emperor of all beasts, not a superfluous thing. Are you a birdman? Can you replace me? You're the birdman. I won't lower myself to your level. If it weren't for the fact that I couldn't beat the heir of the Chaos Dragon and your master, I would have dealt with you long ago. Dong Qin couldn't control herself. TSK, TSK, TSK. I have a way to open this hell gate. I really don't know what the heavenly treasure battle constitution is for when I'm born. The divine bird returned Dong Qin's words. You're good at bragging. Why don't you open it for me to see? Dong Qin asked in disbelief. Why should I open it? We'll talk about it after you leave. This place can't stop me. I'm not interested in sharing treasures with others, the divine bird said disdainfully. Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi were also speechless. The divine bird could quarrel with anyone, as if it and the heavenly treasure battle constitution were natural enemies. If you can, hurry up and open it. If more people come later, we won't get any benefits, Yi Qinghan said impatiently. Let the heavenly treasure battle constitution beg me. Otherwise, I won't say anything. The divine bird looked like a dead pig that wasn't afraid of boiling water. It had been aggrieved recently and wanted to show off with the heavenly treasure battle constitution. Dong Qin was so angry that her breasts rose and fell. Her face was flushed, which added a touch of charm. Yi Qinghan was absent-minded. This natural brow bone was simply a torture for men. Emperor Yi viciously pinched Yi Qinghan's waist and groaned, indicating for him to control himself. "My name is Dong Qin. Can I ask the divine bird to open the door?" Dong Qin said angrily. "Dong Qin? Ha ha! What an old-fashioned name. It's more than enough when paired with the heavenly treasure battle body. You can't compare to me at all." The divine bird smirked and finally regained its confidence. The celestial battle body was already on the verge of anger. Yi Qinghan couldn't stand it anymore. It wasn't good to bully an honest person like this. He directly grabbed the divine bird's neck and pretended to be angry. "Hurry up and tell us the way to open the door. We'll go in first and we can come out when they arrive." This is the 5 heavenly treasures. Look, there's a dragon at the top, bottom, left and right, and a heavenly dragon in the middle. The 5 dragons are entangled with each other and their energy is connected. They can generate energy on their own and won't run out even after billions of years. It's impossible to open it by force, so you have to cut off the passage of one of the dragons so that the energy inside can't be generated continuously. The stone door will automatically open. This is the most advanced array of the chaotic era, turning complexity into simplicity. Many people think that the Tomb Guardian array of the 10 battle constitutions is definitely not that simple, so they can't figure it out in their lives, the divine bird said proudly. "Right, how could I forget this?" Dong Qin scratched the back of her head and suddenly realized that such a charming and mature woman was actually cute. Cough, cough, Yi Qinghan coughed twice and looked away. With this method, the celestial battle body could open the stone door alone. Dong Qin sealed the dragon in the middle from the inside and cut off the energy supply. The stone door opened as expected. "Humph, I'm really lucky to run into this B***tch bird. It reminded me. Otherwise, I would have returned empty-handed today." Dong Qin snorted and muttered to herself. She took the lead and stepped into the ancient tomb. There was a circular passage on both sides of the ancient tomb. There were no defenses or traps inside. Perhaps the Atlas battle body didn't want to kill its descendants or test anyone. Whoever had the opportunity could take it. Seeing the simple decorations here, Yi Qinghan couldn't help but have a good impression of the first-generation Atlas battle body. It seemed that the Atlas battle body wasn't scheming and liked to be straightforward. Along the way, they found that many rooms were empty. There wasn't even a table. They were just decorations and there were no messy tests. As they went deeper, a large number of divine techniques were placed in each room. The worst of them were top-secret technique. Tier 15 natural treasures were everywhere. Because this place was completely sealed and the air didn't circulate, none of the natural treasures were damaged. The celestial battle body wasn't interested in these at all. She wasn't in the mood to establish a sect. Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi didn't stand on ceremony and took them all for the citizens of the Endless Plains and the Mad Dragon Empire. The materials here were enough to cultivate an army of gods. As they went deeper, more and more materials appeared. The celestial battle body was at the back. She didn't even bother to take some of the Master God weapons and Master God level secret technique. She only took the secret techniques and profound mysteries that she needed. Yi Qinghan and Ren Huangyi sped up and collected all the materials at the back. When they arrived at the back, they discovered 3 books of Lord-level secret technique. One of them was a secret technique related to soul attacks, another was about the mysteries of weapon refinement, and the last was about medicine refinement. Emperor Yi took them without hesitation. Dong Qin walked into a room and looked at the 3 Master God weapons in the room. She shook her head. She wasn't interested. She only liked her set of Master God weapons. Master God weapons that could be collected by the Atlas battle body were definitely defeated by the Atlas battle body. If even the Atlas battle body couldn't defeat them, how could the celestial battle body be interested in their divine weapons? 2 divine swords and a spear. They were all Master God weapons and ranked quite high among Master God weapons. If the Atlas battle body was interested in them, how bad could they be? Dong Qin didn't want them, but Yi Qinghan treated them like treasures. He stretched out his hand and summoned the spear. With a light shake, it let out a long whistle. A warm current rushed into his body, making his soul feel exceptionally comfortable. Good spear! Yi Qinghan couldn't help but exclaim. He looked at the spear in his hand. There were 3 finger-sized words on it. Amber Spear. It was one of the 4 great divine spears of the chaotic era, a top-grade Master God weapon. Yi Qinghan casually put it away. Emperor Yi also put away the 2 divine swords and walked out of the room. In the depths, the divine bird stared at Dong Qin, competing with her for the real rare treasure. Until now, Dong Qin had only taken 1 iron scroll. As for what secret technique it was, the divine bird didn't see it clearly. At this moment, a palace appeared in the depths. The door was wide open, and there were 2 weapons at the door. One was a divine sword, and the other was a battle saber. The sun-moon divine sword and the star saber. Dong Qin blurted out in disbelief. She didn't expect that the divine weapons of these 2 battle bodies would be in the Atlas battle body's tomb. Chapter 821. Dong Qin was too shocked. She didn't expect the weapons of the 2 constitutions to be together with Atlas's burial. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan and Dong Qin charged at the weapons at the same time, wanting to fight for the Master God weapons of the 2 constitutions. The 2 of them moved like lightning, and cracks appeared in the space inside. Yi Qinghan grabbed at the starry blade, while Dong Qin grabbed at the Sun-Moon God's word. These were ancient sovereign artifacts. Even if they weren't over-god artifacts, they were still far more powerful than modern sovereign artifacts. What's more, they were divine weapons that had been used by Yi Qinghan's battle body in the past. As soon as they came into contact with the Master God weapons, a divine might erupted from the weapons. The tomb of the gods shook, and the city above collapsed completely. Smoke and dust rose. It was as if the end of the world had arrived. The entire plane was shaking. Boom! The divine power from the Master God weapons sent the 2 of them flying. Even if the celestial treasure battle constitutions were about to reach the over-god level, they still couldn't shake the might of the Master God weapons. If it were any other Master God weapons, Dong Qin and Yi Qinghan wouldn't even be qualified to hold them. Boom! The 2 of them crashed into a wall and retreated more than 10 meters before coming to a stop. Yi Qinghan and Dong Qin's faces turned red and their blood roared. They felt as if their bodies were about to explode. This supreme god weapon was even more powerful than the dragon crouching Taoist that Yi Qinghan had seen. It was obvious how powerful the battle constitutions of the past were. Dong Qin looked at her palm. It was almost broken, and the skin between her thumb and index finger was dripping with blood. The divine clothes on her jade arm were blown away, and her jade-like arm was exposed. Could be broken with a flick of a finger. It hurts. I'm dead. I'm dead. The charming Dong Qin's face was distorted. It was so painful that she couldn't breathe. Ha ha ha, you deserve it. You were greedy. The divine bird sneered. Yi Qinghan's mouth twitched. It wasn't just Dong Qin who was in pain. He was also in so much pain that he couldn't breathe. That kind of heart-wrenching pain directly affected his soul. He couldn't feel anything in his body, but his soul still felt pain. These are the divine weapons of the 10 great battle constitutions of the past. They have weapon spirits, and the requirements for their owners are especially high. Only the Lord Gods can control them. Just like the over-god weapons, we can't control them even if they are placed in front of us. The over-god weapons alone can crush the Lord gods of today. However, these two divine weapons have been sealed for too long. If we don't touch them and activate their divine power, they are just like ordinary weapons. It's just that the sun, moon, and 7 stars on their blades can prove their identity. No one can imitate them, at least not with the current art of forging. Dong Qin chose to ignore the divine bird and explained in a low voice. It's a pity that such a good divine weapon is given to someone else. Yi Qinghan was unwilling to give up. He looked at the starry wild blade and found it particularly pleasing to the eye. Although it looked a little delicate, if he could really control it, he would definitely be able to split open the water surface and kill ordinary sovereigns. No, the lady beside you can control it. She has the over-god divine spark, so the divine weapon will definitely recognize her. However, you must return this divine sword to me after I become a Lord God, Dong Qin said immediately. Really? Yi Qinghan was a little worried. He was almost killed by the star saber. It would be bad if it hurt Emperor Yi too. Definitely. This divine weapon recognizes the divine spark. If the Chaos Dragon divine spark isn't qualified to control it, who else is? Dong Qin looked at Emperor Yi and said with certainty. Yi Qinghan looked at Emperor Yi and found that she was very interested in giving it a try, so he nodded and agreed. Emperor Yi activated the over-god divine spark and used the primal chaos force to attach to his palm. He slowly approached the Sun-Moon Divine Sword and found that the divine light of the Sun-Moon Divine Sword was getting stronger and stronger. It trembled slightly and the ground shook. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The sword was about to be unsheathed, and the saber was also humming. The sound was deep and mighty. Renhuang Yi stretched out his hand and grabbed the hilt of the Sun-Moon Divine Sword. The divine sword let out a long whistle and then returned to normal. It did not attack him, but Renhuang Yi was unable to store it into his Qiankuan ring. The level of his Qiankuan ring was too low. It was unable to store such a divine weapon. Emperor Yi took out 2 pieces of clothing and tore them. He wrapped the divine sword tightly and carried it on his back. Then, he wrapped the star saber and carried it on his back. Sure enough, it's fine. Emperor Yi smiled happily and jumped down from the platform. He spun around as if he was presenting a treasure. Are there any more treasures inside? If not, we'll leave immediately to avoid running into others. Yi Qinghan didn't want to run into people from the 2 factions. They were too difficult to deal with. There's a corpse inside. It's the 1st generation Atlas battle physique. If you like, you can carry it away. But you'll have to break through the primal chaos origin formation. The formation inside isn't the same as the 5-dragon heavenlock formation outside. Dong Qin smiled and teased, then turned and walked outside. Yi Qinghan shook his head. He had no interest in the Atlas battle physique's corpse. He quickly rushed outside with Emperor Yi. There were a few reckless low-level gods rushing inside. They wanted to take advantage of the situation, but they ran into Yi Qinghan and the others before they reached the center. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan raised his saber and killed all 4 of them. He couldn't be soft-hearted now. If they ran out and reported him, the demonic gods would probably send people to snatch the divine weapon even if they didn't want to offend him. Whoosh, 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 the 3 of them sped past as if they were flying. Smoke and dust filled the city. Everyone in the city had fled, but a large group of powerhouses was approaching. Those who had just entered the tomb were the top powerhouses in this small realm. However, they were unlucky to have run into Yi Qinghan, who had turned on them mercilessly, and all of them had perished. The 3 of them quickly rushed out of the tomb and fled into the distance, following the dust. The moment the 3 of them left the city, at least several hundred half-step lords arrived near the city from all directions. One of the lords led more than 10 half-step lords. It was almost as if they had turned out in full force. Old 4, take a few people with you and go after those 3. The rest of you, follow me into the tomb. the white-haired lord said in a low voice as he watched Yi Qinghan leave. Yes, sir. A husky hunk led 3 half-step lords in the direction that Yi Qinghan had left in. They transformed into flames and charged in the direction that Yi Qinghan had gone. Whoosh! Another lord had arrived, but his combat strength was clearly more powerful than the white-haired old man's. I'm Zheng Hui from the Demon God tribe. Those who have nothing to do with this, get lost. The lord warned coldly. Treasures belong to those who are fated to obtain them. That divine light is so intense, so it must be a chaos treasure. No one can take it for themselves. Boom! Another lord descended from the sky. They were all strangers, and no one knew where they had come from. We witch tribe members aren't cowards. Jinghui, I've been wanting to fight you for a while now. Since the 2 camps are at war again, I'll fight you today. A middle-aged man in brocade robes appeared in everyone's line of sight with a sword in hand. The half-step lords had become cannon fodder, and they all distanced themselves from the lord's attack range. There were also many half-step lords who dared to charge into the Tomb of the Gods, hoping to find some valuable items to break through to lord level. Only then could they become a first-tier force. However, very soon, a half-step lord charged forward with a furious expression. He cursed and bellowed, "Someone beat us to it. It's empty inside. There's nothing inside." Chapter 8:22. The Atlas God's tomb had been emptied, so everyone was left empty-handed. However, the white-haired overgod instantly knew that Yi Qinghan and the other 2 had taken everything away. Go after them. It's the 3 of them. The white-haired overgod soared into the sky and chased in the direction that Yi Qinghan had fled. However, as soon as he left the small realm, he bumped into Old Four and the others. The 4 of them had been shaken off by Yi Qinghan and the rest. Where are they? The white-haired overgod looked at the 4 confused half-step overgods and could not help but feel rather annoyed. 4 half-step overgods had been chasing after 3 young men, yet they had lost track of them. Second Martial Uncle, they vanished as soon as they arrived in this realm. They vanished without a trace, which caught us off guard. We've been searching for a long time, but we haven't sensed any spatial fluctuations. Old Four was utterly miserable. He had no idea how to explain it at all. Did you get a good look at their faces? Who were they? The white-haired overgod asked coldly. They were 2 young women and a young man. The man is very distinguishable, so you can remember him at a glance. However, the man seems to be an advanced-level supreme god instead of a half-step overgod. The 2 women are half-step overgods. One of them has blonde hair and carries 2 god weapons on her back. She must have obtained them from the Tomb of the Gods, but her universe ring's level isn't high enough, so she can only carry them on her back, Old Four said through voice transmission. If there's anything you want to say, please speak freely. I've taken a look at the Tomb of the Gods. It's the tomb of a top demon god powerhouse. As long as you share the information, you'll benefit greatly. Moreover, when it comes to finding people, how can a tiny sect like yours compare to our demon god mountain? Overgod Jing Hui frowned. A cold gleam flashed through his eyes, and killing intent radiated from him. The white-haired old man dared not offend demon god mountain too much, so he described Yi Qinghan and Emperor Ye's characteristics. It's really the 2 of them. Who's the other woman? Zheng Hui snorted coldly, impatience written all over his face. The great demon god mountain had actually issued an order not to offend a supreme god. It was as dignified as the demon gods. Are you saying that they're Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi? The propaganda overgod from the witch tribe's camp asked, puzzled. Many people did not know who overgod propaganda and overgod Jing Hui were referring to. They did not know that the upper echelons of both camps were hinting their subordinates to give in to Yi Qinghan and Guangzhong. Therefore, Yi Qinghan was only slightly more famous among the 2 camps. However, there were many people who were dissatisfied with Yi and wanted to completely. Who else? Ha ha ha, they're digging their own graves this time. They can't blame anyone else. Zheng Hui's eyes flashed as he said to the overgods beside him, Emperor Yi is a half-step lord, and the Qianquan ring in his hand is at half-step lord level. If even his Qianquan ring can't absorb a divine weapon, I don't even need to think to know what level it is. If you're interested, why don't we play a game of cat and mouse? We'll force the three of them into a small realm. I promise on behalf of Demon God Mountain that as long as they have the two divine weapons on their backs, we won't take any other secret skills or divine weapons. If you're interested, then I'm interested. The other overgods snorted. On the surface, they seemed to agree, but in reality, this agreement would be overturned the moment they captured Yi Qinghan. 7 overgods and close to 100 half-step lords swept through the realms to capture Yi Qinghan and the other two. Several nearby realms had been sealed. Even if Zheng Hui and the others wanted to capture Yi Qinghan, they would not be able to escape. If they wanted to leave, they would have to attack by force. Otherwise, they would be like frogs being boiled in warm water. Their space for survival would become smaller and smaller, and they would eventually become someone else's meal. Zheng Hui and the other overgods led some half-step lords to begin their search in the 5 realms. More and more powerhouses joined the search. When Demon God Mountain heard that Yi Qinghan had abandoned the graves of the upper echelons, they could not give up on the treasures in the graves, no matter how much they respected him. Therefore, they sent 5 overgods. Naturally, the people in the sorcerer god's camp were unwilling to hand over the treasures. They also sent powerhouses to help spread the news. The heavenly higher realm was one of the realms sealed by powerhouses. No matter how fast Yi Qinghan and the others were, it was impossible for them to outrun the blockade of lord-level powerhouses. Yi Qinghan and the other two stayed in a mountain range in the heavenly higher realm. They tried to slip away through the border river a few times, but they all failed. Even the border river was sealed, let alone the other passageways. How about we fight our way through? Yi Qinghan suggested in a low voice. It's not a problem to fight our way out of the heavenly higher realm, but we'll have to pass through the Qinghe realm on the other side before they can react. Otherwise, if we get entangled by the overgods, we won't be able to escape, Dong Qin said calmly. According to the information we've gathered, there are currently 6 realms sealed. The Qinghe realm is one of them. I'm afraid it's not safe to escape through the Qinghe realm now. Emperor Yi was more vigilant as he stared at the star map. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. He pointed to the left, which was the west, to the West Hill realm. He said, "Look at the West Hill realm. It'll soon overlap with the heavenly higher realm. We can hide and enter the West Hill realm. When the time comes, we can force our way through the West Hill realm. Once we leave that realm, we can escape without worry. The 3 of us are too big of a target. Let's split up and disguise ourselves," Yi Qinghan suggested again. "No way. I won't leave you guys before I get the Sun Moon Godly Sword." Dong Qin rejected Yi Qinghan's suggestion without hesitation. Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi looked at each other. It seemed like the celestial treasure battle body would have to depend on them. The sun was setting in the west, but the vast realm was still lively. Many adventurers who had lived on the edge of their blades chose to join the search party for Yi Qinghan. Those who found traces of Yi Qinghan would be rewarded with a half-step master secret technique, a divine weapon, and a pill. Such a good thing would always attract some crazy people who didn't care about their lives to chase after them. They were like rabid dogs that wouldn't let go. Dong Qin didn't want to split up, and Yi Qinghan had no choice but to tie them together and escape. Since they couldn't split up, they might as well have a few more people and disguise themselves a little. Perhaps they could escape the eyes of some people. Yi Qinghan contacted Zixian and asked her to gather in the Xiling realm immediately. What Yi Qinghan didn't know was that Li Feng had heard about him and actually crossed many realms to appear in the higher heaven realm, also looking for him. The 3 of them took advantage of the night and kept moving. They didn't dare to use the law of space for fear of alerting the Master God. Although the three of them could fight the Master God together, if they were held back by the Master God, the three of them would die without a doubt. The Atlas battle body, the Sun-Moon battle body, and the Astral battle body had all appeared and were rushing to these realms. Ling Xiaoyu of the Sorcerer tribe had been sent out of the second Sorcerer God's tomb. When he returned to the Sisui realm and heard the news, he also rushed over. The realms moved at a much faster speed. Yi Qinghan had a vague feeling that the Age of Chaos was about to descend. The 10 great battle bodies were likely to gather in this small realm. Yi Qinghan lowered his head and thought. He didn't want the chaotic universe to reappear so soon. If it was too early, it wouldn't be good for the Kuang sect and himself. So, he contacted Yi Chuntian and asked him to take Wentian away from here, as far as possible. Chapter 8:23. The heavenly higher plane was in chaos. The powerhouse's auras were overwhelming, and the plane could collapse at any time. Everyone was on tenterhooks. It was impossible for a small plane like this to withstand a battle between half-step lords and lord-level powerhouses. In order to gather information, Yi Qinghan disguised himself as a burly man and entered the city. He discovered that everyone was sighing helplessly. In this chaotic world, ordinary people like us are no better than dogs. I wonder if we'll be able to see tomorrow's sun if we survive today. There are so many lords and half-step lords gathered in our heavenly higher plane. Once we find Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi, we'll be cannon fodder in the battle. A white-haired old man with a hunched back was gathered with a group of people, discussing the current situation. That's right. Of all places, this Yi Qinghan has to come here. Isn't he harming people? Another old man who had experienced the vicissitudes of life chimed in. Sigh, if I were one of those people guarding the border river, I'd let Yi Qinghan leave. If I keep him here, won't we be the ones who suffer? Once the plane collapses, apart from the exalted gods, who can escape? What a bunch of money-grubbing B***stards. They've all been blinded. The white-haired old man was very wise. He had hit the nail on the head. However, not everyone would be like him, looking so far ahead. Yi Qinghan sighed softly. Clearly, he did not want to implicate so many people. A single plane was much larger than the endless planes. If living things died because of him, he would feel extremely guilty for the rest of his life. However, these old men's discussion reminded Yi Qinghan that since these old men could see the situation clearly, the heavenly higher plane's ruler would definitely be able to see the situation clearly. Yi Qinghan asked him to open the door. If that did not work, he could threaten them. If they fought, the ruler of the plane would not be able to escape. Not even a single one of his family's assets would leave. High Heaven City was a vast city. It was the most powerful city in the High Heaven Plane. It was equivalent to the central region of the Endless Plains. It was vast and boundless, and there were countless talented people. The master of the dimension, Shang Zhong, was currently enjoying his life. He didn't have the life of a master god, so he was living a luxurious life. He firmly grasped the power of the higher heaven plane in his hands, and he didn't allow anyone to surpass him in the dimension. However, Shang Zhong's battle prowess was indeed very strong. He wasn't as strong as those true top-notch geniuses, but he had few opponents in the same level as him. The master gods disdained to compete with him, and the kings of the same level weren't interested in fighting over such a middle dimension. It wasn't much stronger than some small dimensions. The main hall was filled with singing and dancing. The palace was dazzling in gold and jade. The dancers swayed their waists and were extremely charming. They were all trying their best to seduce Shang Zhong in hopes of reaching the heavens. Shang Zhong couldn't be considered old. His face was oily. These years of luxurious life had turned him into a big fatty. His body occupied more than half of the dragon throne. His face was full of lust, and his eyes were full of greed. He stared at the dancers in the hall. He didn't want to manage the affairs outside at all. Everything was handed over to his 3 sons to manage. He was only responsible for grasping the art of balance and making the 3 of them compete with each other. The dancers were all good-looking. Shang Zhong looked left and right and couldn't decide. In the end, he waved his hand and ordered all of them to stay. He ordered all the guards to withdraw, and he brought the dancers back to his palace. The palace was even more luxurious. It was filled with divine herbs, and the scenery was picturesque. It was exceptionally beautiful. A young man wearing the guard's uniform was holding a spear. He carefully avoided the guards and entered the back garden of the palace. Although half of his face was covered by armor, that vicissitude temperament was still distinguishable. It was Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan saw Shang Zhong's actions. He smiled faintly and waved his hand to put away the spear. He looked around and saw that there was no one around. He pushed open the door of the palace and disappeared in a flash. The sound of coquettish laughter and panting came from the palace. It was filled with the scent of lust, and the sound of bells rang incessantly. Yi Qinghan silently approached. He put away a dagger and pushed open the door to Shang Zhong's room. His speed was extremely fast. He continuously slashed and killed all the dancers without showing any mercy. "How dare you!" Shang Zhong was furious. Before he could retaliate, Yi Qinghan's dagger was pressed against his throat. Yi Qinghan's cold and deep eyes were emotionless, like an ice-cold machine. "If I were you, I wouldn't say anything right now and just sit down obediently," Yi Qinghan said calmly as he took off his iron hat and revealed a devilish face. "You are Yi Qinghan. What are you doing in my palace? We have no enmity. Fellow Taoist, please spare my life. Take whatever you need." Shang Zhong finally calmed down. His fat face was covered in sweat and his voice was trembling. "I told you to shut up." Yi Qinghan's aura changed and he said coldly. Shang Zhong immediately shut up and looked at Yi Qinghan in horror. "Only then can you live longer." Yi Qinghan patted his fat face with his dagger and said indifferently, "I came to find you because I want to leave the higher heaven plane. But you are the host. You must have a way for me to leave quietly, right?" "Right. No, right now there are many master gods roaming the plane. I can't open the passage to the border river." "Fellow Taoist, please don't make things difficult for me. This matter has nothing to do with me." Shang Zhong felt wronged and said with a sobbing tone. "Is that so? Your 3 sons are leading an army to guard the border river. Don't you have a way? Even if you don't have a way, you should know whether or not there is a special passage. Leaving me in the higher heaven plane won't do you any good. I will be discovered sooner or later. When the time comes and we fight, your luxurious life will come to an end. Your home will be destroyed, your people will die, and your army will be wiped out. Do you believe me?" Yi Qinghan said calmly. Shang Zhong was sweating profusely. He didn't believe that Yi Qinghan could fight with a master god. Once he was discovered, he would definitely die. He wouldn't even have a chance to struggle. However, he didn't dare to say it out loud. "I know that you don't believe that I can fight with a master god. But you have to understand that there are 2 people by my side. Do you know who they are?" Yi Qinghan asked with a grin. "One is Emperor Yi." "I don't know who the other is," Shang Zhong murmured. "Right. One is Emperor Yi, and the other is called Dong Qin. Dong Qin has one of the 10 great battle constitutions, the celestial treasure battle body. Emperor Yi is the successor of the primal chaos dragon overgod. Do you think that the 2 of them can tear your higher heaven plane apart?" Yi Qinghan asked. Gulp, Shang Zhong swallowed his saliva. A trace of fear appeared in his eyes. "Remember this. If I fight with them, you will only be cannon fodder. You can't even be considered cannon fodder. Do you understand that when gods fight, mortals suffer? In our eyes, the higher heaven plane can't even be considered a mortal. So, if you want to live well and protect your wealth and plane, obediently open a passage for me. Of course, if you don't believe me, you can inform the Master God after I leave. See if your higher heaven plane can escape this calamity. Yi Qinghan coldly threatened. This. If the Master God knows that I let you out, won't he kill me? Shang Zhong wanted to cry but had no tears. He helplessly said. Chapter 8:24. Shang Zhong wanted to cry, but no tears came out. He wouldn't care about ordinary high gods, but in front of Yi Qinghan, he didn't even have the courage to resist. He didn't dare to offend Yi Qinghan, much less the sovereigns. If the sovereigns knew that he was the one who had forced Yi Qinghan out of the plane, they would skin him alive. You don't have a choice, Yi Qinghan said calmly. I know of a passageway that leads to the Qinghe realm, but it's quite dangerous. It's a naturally formed space turbulence that can kill Half-Step Lord. That's why there are only a few people guarding it. Their purpose is to prevent people from entering the space turbulence. You see. Shang Zhong looked at Yi Qinghan. He hoped that Yi Qinghan could leave his realm through that passageway. If he succeeded, it would have nothing to do with him. If he failed, he would be killed by the space turbulence. Where is it? Yi Qinghan asked. At East King Ridge's Heaven's Retribution Peak. There was once a powerful half-step lord who came from the Qinghe realm to the heavenly higher plane. However, he was severely injured and died not long after. That's why I've been sealing off that place to prevent people from entering by mistake, Shang Zhong said hurriedly. Give me a map. You'd better not lie to me. The price for lying to me is high. When I get angry, I'll even kill children. Don't blame me for not warning you when I wipe out your entire clan, Yi Qinghan said coldly. Shang Zhong shuddered and hurriedly took out a map. He marked East King Ridge's Heaven's Retribution Peak and sent it to Yi Qinghan. I like obedient people. Don't provoke me. You can still ask me for help if you're in trouble in the future. I'll help you when I'm in a good mood. You'll take care of these corpses. Don't disappoint me. Yi Qinghan snickered. He looked at the map and turned to leave. Shang Zhong felt as if there was something stuck in his throat. At that moment, he knew that if he shouted, lords would come very quickly. However, he did not dare. He looked at Yi Qinghan's back and lowered his head silently, pretending that nothing had happened. Yi Qinghan came and went without a trace. He left Shang Zhong's palace and headed straight for a mountain range to meet up with Emperor Yi and the others. On this day, Purple Immortal also found this plane. After contacting Yi Qinghan, they met up in the valley. When Purple Immortal saw the celestial treasure battle body, she quickly bowed and said, Fellow Taoist, I've come to find you on the orders of my ancestor. Your ancestor? His Excellency the Violet Emperor? Dong Qin asked with a frown. No one will be able to escape the cycle of reincarnation, and no one will be able to break free from the war. Whether it's the celestial combat body or the other pupil bloodline, we'll all be dragged into it. If we want to escape this calamity, someone from the celestial combat body must become a paramount god. Otherwise, we'll have no chance of survival. And my chance to become a paramount god lies with you, fellow Taoists. Please help me. Zixian's bloodline was superior to Dong Qin's, but he was very respectful, as if he was afraid that she would refuse to help. Impossible. Dong Qin refused Zixian's request without the slightest hesitation. My master ordered me not to participate in the war. Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi stood off to the side, not saying a word. Dong Qin had her own orders, and she had her own position. She wouldn't participate in this unprecedented calamity. That was an act of self-preservation, and no one could say anything about it. For example, Yi Qinghan himself didn't want to get involved in worldly affairs, so how could he persuade Dong Qin to participate in the war? Zixian felt helpless. As time passed, the combat body would reform, and the primal chaos would reappear. At that time, many unknown forces would appear, and without a paramount god, The Z clan wouldn't be able to contend against them. Without absolute strength, no one would be able to escape their fate. Sigh. My ancestors' prophecy is true. None of you can escape, and running away isn't a solution. Fellow Taoist Yi, the prophecies of the other 20 paramount gods didn't mention you or Emperor Yi seizing the origin of the primal chaos dragon, but my ancestors' prophecy mentioned you and Emperor Yi. This means that most of the prophecies of the other 20 paramount gods were wrong. Only my ancestors' prophecy was correct. Purple Immortal looked at Yi Qinghan, hoping that he would say something to persuade Yi Qinghan. She also hoped that he would stop running away. Yi Qinghan didn't believe that an expert could predict the future, let alone someone who was separated by countless epochs. What did those people rely on to predict the future? I want to know about the prophecies of the 21 paramount gods, Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. Some of the prophecies are the same, which is that the 10 combat bodies will reunite and the primal chaos universe. Now that the planes have moved, it means that the 10 combat bodies have already appeared, but they have yet to reunite. The latter half of the prophecies of both sides are about their own survival, but my ancestors saw an ending where both sides suffered great losses. All of the combat bodies participated in the war, and no one could escape their fate. However, he also pointed out the survival of my clan. I must become a paramount god, and the key person is the celestial combat body. The survival of the people of the world depends on you and Emperor Yi. My ancestors said that if we want to save the world, we can only rely on the two of you, Zixian said truthfully. This is why I helped you in the beginning. Otherwise, I wouldn't have participated in the war, Zixian continued. Emperor Yi also didn't want to participate in the war or those messy things. If Zixian hadn't helped the Guangzong, he wouldn't have agreed to let Yi Qinghan participate in these things. Yi Qinghan was silent, not knowing what to say. Let's leave this place first, and then we can discuss it. There will always be a way to get the best of both worlds. As for saving the world, I'm really not that great. The most I can do is protect the endless planes and the mythical plane. This is what I should do, and it's also within my power. As for the entire primal chaos universe, I'm too insignificant. Yi Qinghan chose to change the topic. Alright, let's leave first. Dong Qin was used to being alone, and now she really didn't have much interest in gathering with Yi Qinghan and the others. However, she couldn't take away the Sun-Moon godly sword, so she could only follow Emperor Yi. The four of them waited until nightfall, and then took advantage of the night to rush towards the East King Ridge. However, there were many checkpoints along the way, and the consciousness of the overgods would sweep past them from time to time. However, the four of them were all monsters, and the overgods couldn't find them with their consciousness alone, unless they were truly powerful. In the darkness before dawn, Yi Qinghan led the 3 supreme sirens into the East King Ridge and found Heaven's Retribution Peak. There were about a dozen lower gods and a middle god priest guarding the peak. No one knew how long they had been stationed there. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan's figure flashed, and the guards were stunned, but he didn't kill them. This is the passage that Shang Zhong mentioned, which leads to the Qinghe Plain. Let's leave from here, then leave the Qinghe Plain, and then go into seclusion to achieve the Overgod realm. What do you think? Yi Qinghan suggested calmly. Without reaching the Overgod realm, it was useless to say anything. In this era, only the Overgods were the main forces. There was a large area of spatial turbulence in front of them, sharper than divine weapons. It formed a huge whirlpool, and if one was sucked into it, death was certain. The average body couldn't withstand such spatial turbulence. Yi Qinghan took out the flowing boat. This was the best flowing boat in the divine artifacts sect. Taoist Jiushan had personally forged it for Yi Qinghan, and now it came in handy. Chapter 825. This boat was built by priest Jiushan himself. In the space turbulence, the boat was like duckweed floating in the ocean, drifting unsteadily and could be torn apart at any time. Therefore, the outer layer of defense of the boat was broken when it moved for over 1,000 miles. Take care of yourselves. Once the shuttle breaks, we'll have to rely on ourselves, Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. Why is this spatial turbulence so powerful? It shouldn't appear in the middle of a middle realm. This passageway can't possibly lead to the Qinghe realm. Have you been fooled by Shangzhong? Dong Qin asked with a frown. It shouldn't be, unless he's not sure that this passageway leads to the Qinghe realm. Yi Qinghan was very sure that Shangzhong would not dare to deceive him. However, he also felt that this passageway should not lead to the Qinghe realm. The spatial turbulence alone could tear the Qinghe realm apart. After traveling 1,500 kilometers, the shuttle was left with only a frame. The four powerhouses poured their divine power to protect their physical bodies. They pulled their hands together and charged forward. Emperor Yi drew his star saber and charged at the front. The god weapon shattered the vortex and shone brightly. The star saber was worthy of being the god weapon of the first generation of god weapons. Even though it had not acknowledged Emperor Yi as its master, it could still unleash the might of a lord. At this moment, Yi Qinghan was useless. He could only stabilize Emperor Ye's body and let her attack the turbulence with all her might. No matter how powerful the Celestial Treasure Combat Constitution and Zixian's bloodline were, they were useless. Naturally, Emperor Yi could charge at the front. However, with the star saber, destroying the spatial turbulence was a piece of cake. The four of them exerted all their strength and finally broke through the passageway. They arrived at a vast mountain wilderness. The plains stretched as far as the eye could see. The space was unusually stable and mysterious. It was clear that this was not a middle realm. The space and gravity here were much stronger than in the Sisui realm. This is an upper realm, not a middle realm. The four of them looked at each other. They did not need to ask to know that this was not a middle realm. Where did Shangzhong get his information from? Can anyone who can cross the space turbulence from this realm to the heavenly higher plane be a half-step lord? Yi Qinghan was speechless. He lifted his eyes and looked ahead. As far as the eye could see, there was not a single soul in sight. He said, "Let's continue forward and see if we can find anyone to ask where we are." The four of them walked along the foot of the mountain. After walking for about 1,000 miles, they found a very primitive village. A group of young people were cultivating their physical bodies. Their cultivation was not very strong. They were about the realm of Tao Master. The person teaching them was a big man. His cultivation was only at the realm of Emperor. Such a cultivation level would be considered pretty good in the endless plains. However, this was an upper plane and not a small plane. Such a cultivation level was really not worth mentioning. Let's go and take a look. Yi Qinghan and the other three stood on a mountain peak and looked at the village in the distance. There were at most 1,000 households, and many of them hunted for a living. The highest level of cultivation among them was only a low-level god. Whoosh! The four of them descended from the sky and arrived at the training field outside the village. A group of children dressed in heavy clothing looked curiously at Yi Qinghan and the others. There was no hostility in their eyes. Perhaps it was because the three beauties were hard to dislike. It was snowing lightly, and the barren mountain village appeared rather desolate. The children's eyes were very simple. Apart from their cultivation levels, they reminded Yi Qinghan of his childhood in his past life. The Yi family was very simple, and the children were just like them. The big man in the lead looked at Yi Qinghan and the others in surprise. No one had come here for so many years. Why were there four of them here all of a sudden? We're from the humble village. I'm the young village chief of the humble village. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Where did you come from? Is there something you need? The big man was rather alert, even defensive. He gathered the children and stood in front of them as he asked. Yi Qinghan smiled. Worried that he would scare the children, he quickly cupped his fists and said, "Please don't misunderstand, fellow cultivator. We've come here by mistake. We don't know where we are, so we're here to ask." Was still worried. She kept retreating with the children until they were almost out of the martial arts arena. "Children, come over here. Big sister will give you a greeting gift." Emperor Yi smiled and waved his hand. Some divine pills appeared. Although they weren't of high quality, they were enough for the children. Emperor Ye's smile caused the world to lose its color. And the children were no longer afraid. This was her ability to affect people. Her pure eyes made people unable to hate her. Most of the children were 8 or 9 years old. There were also some who were 13 or 14 years old. At this moment, they were all looking longingly at the pills in Emperor Ye's hand. They swallowed their saliva, but they didn't go forward. They all looked at didn't dare to accept so many divine pills and medicines. The entire village didn't have so much savings in a year. "Don't be so polite. I have a lot of these pills. Let the children take them. You only need to answer a few of our questions." Emperor Ye's hand trembled and sent the medicinal pills flying through the air before the children, causing their guard to drop to the lowest point. Soon, the celestial battle body was the most common type of pill. He also took out a portion and threw it to the children. Sure enough, women were the best at communicating with children. Yi Qinghan was thrown aside by them and mingled with the children. Cough, cough. "I am Yi Qinghan. I come from a small plain. May I ask what this plain is called? Is there a big city nearby?" Yi Qinghan coughed dryly and asked could see that Emperor Yi and the others' cultivation was far superior to her. They were even much stronger than the village's #1 expert. However, they didn't bully the weak. Instead, they took the initiative to communicate with the children. She knew that they wouldn't harm the village. She immediately let go of the simple and honest villagers' hospitality. "Esteemed guests, please come in. Our humble village is relatively small. We have offended some people recently, so we are more vigilant. Fellow Taoist, please don't blame us." Hurriedly reached out and led Yi Qinghan and the others into the village. The village was surrounded by ironwood, forming a huge fortification. The huge wooden door was always locked. It would take a long time for ordinary beasts or human experts to enter the village and kill the villagers. "We're just ordinary villagers, so we don't know much about the outside world, so we don't even know what this plain is called. However, I know that this plain is very big, and legend has it that even overgods have to take the gate to reach another big city. Our humble village belongs to Qianxi City, but no one has ever entered the city. I heard that if you want to enter the city, you have to fly for a long time to reach Hanqing County, and then take the flowing cloud boat from Hanqing County to Qianxi City. From Hanqing County to Qianxi City on the flowing cloud boat, it takes 3 years. If you rely on flying, it might take thousands or even tens of thousands of years." As the son of the village chief, he knew quite a lot. If Yi Qinghan asked the ordinary villagers, they would not know these things at all. Yi Qinghan frowned. He did not know how big the upper plain was. However, if the sovereign gods needed the gate to reach another city, then the distance between the two cities would be unimaginably far. Then how often does the flowing cloud boat leave from Hanqing County to Qianxi City? Yi Qinghan asked in detail. "Once every 5 years. Because our Hanqing County is very small, the flowing cloud boat's operation is basically a loss. In the past, it left after 3 years. Now it has changed to 5 years. In the future, it might change to 10 years. When was the last time it left? How long before it leaves again?" Yi Qinghan asked. It left 3 years ago. The reason why I remember it so clearly is because I saw the flowing cloud boat leave 3 years ago. So, if you want to leave, you will have to wait another 2 years. Otherwise, with your cultivation, you will need to fly for 100 years to reach Qianxi City. Said with certainty. Chapter 8:26. Yi Qinghan found out everything he wanted to know, and his expression became more serious. It would take at least 2 years to leave the humble village. According to *********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** time they had to rely on flying beasts, but it would still take them a year to get there. If the prefecture was so big, then how big was Qianxi City? It was unimaginable. Soon, village chief Yang Zhan returned with the hunters. When he found out that outsiders had entered the village, he was angry and reprimanded ******. However, ***** argued and explained the cultivation levels of Emperor Yi and the others, so Yang Zhan did not continue to reprimand him. Yi Qinghan had clearly heard the conversation between Yang Zhan and the government. It turned out that the humble village and the Tai family village had a conflict because of hunting. The Tai family village relied on the fact that there were people in the county and even threatened Yang Zhan to destroy the humble village. This caused the humble village to be extremely xenophobic recently. They were afraid that spies would infiltrate the village and work with the Tai family village to destroy the village. Father, they are not from our plane, so they know nothing about Hanqing Prefecture. They will not do us any harm. Besides, those female cultivators are very good to the children. They even taught the children. I learned a lot from just one look, so it's okay to let them into the village, right? Seeing Yang Zhan's frown, he could not help but explain. Forget it, I'll go see for myself. Where are they? Yang Zhan shook his head and sighed. Yi Qinghan walked out from the back hall of the Yang Manor with a smile and cupped his fists. This must be Village Chief Yang. I am Yi Qinghan, and I'm just passing by. Sorry for disturbing you. You are not locals? Yang Zhan was still worried and asked personally. Indeed, we are not. Village Chief, don't worry. I heard a little about the grudge between the humble village and the Iron Village from Brother Yang. Do you look like someone who would interfere in the affairs of an ordinary village? Besides, if I really wanted to harm your village, the fortifications outside the village would be useless against me, not to mention my wife and 2 friends. Yi Qinghan said frankly. After Yi Qinghan finished speaking, he flicked his finger and a 16th-grade godfire appeared in his hand. In an instant, an iron wood in the courtyard was burned to ashes, leaving nothing behind. Yang Zhan and gasped. Yi Qinghan said straightforwardly, although we are not sovereigns, ordinary sovereigns are no match for the 4 of us. We just want to gather information here. If village chief is worried, we can leave. If you leave now, you won't have anywhere good to go. If you want to take the drifting cloud boat, you'll have to wait at least another 2 years. If you go to Hanqing County in advance, you'll probably have to spend a lot of unnecessary divine crystals. Moreover, the county is desolate, and only the annual gathering will be lively. Right now, it's not even as comfortable as our village. Yang Zhan was shocked speechless by Yi Qinghan's cultivation. After a long while, he reacted and said respectfully, Esteemed one, please don't lower yourself to his level. There is no one in the prefecture now. You won't even have a place to stay. Only at the end of spring will there be a large number of people going to the gathering and bartering. There are also some people who bring some divine pills from Qianxi City to sell, but they are very expensive. Ordinary hunters can't afford them. Yi Qinghan shrugged. It was no big deal to stay here temporarily. He could afford to waste 2 years. Perhaps he could also explore the depths of the mountain range and see how powerful the beasts in the upper plains were. On the martial arts field in the village, the three beauties attracted everyone in the village, young and old. The martial arts field in the village was tightly surrounded by the three beauties. Emperor Yi and the others were teaching the children to pass the time, so they didn't feel bored. Yi Qinghan walked over and relayed the information he had gathered. Hearing that they would have to wait for another 2 years, Dong Qin felt rather helpless. However, Zixian felt that this was an opportunity. Perhaps he could get along well with Dong Qin. She might even help him. Emperor Yi didn't care. It didn't matter where Yi Qinghan was. After some discussion, the four of them decided to stay in the humble village for a while. They would travel for 2 years before going to Hanqing Prefecture. There were many villages nearby. The humble village was the smallest and the weakest. Generally, they were bullied and were very weak. The snow was still falling. Winter was getting closer and closer. The celebration was getting closer and closer. Yang Zhan gathered all the adults in the village and prepared to go all out in the mountains before the New Year celebration. If there was a good harvest, then this new year would be more comfortable. If there was a poor harvest, then the poor villagers would have to tighten their belt. After all, there were more orphans and widows in the village. The celebration is in a month. Many orphans and widows in the village didn't prepare food for the winter. Looking at the weather, the snow will soon seal the mountains. We still have one more chance. This time, we are going to go deep into the mountains and take a risk. Perhaps the whole village will have a good new year. Yang Zhan stared at the 100 strong men and said in a deep voice. Many of the strong men in the village had fallen. The other men in the village automatically took up the responsibility. After all, anyone could die in battle. Everyone supported each other so that the village could survive. Otherwise, everyone would die. The hunters didn't complain about preparing food for the orphans and widows. Instead, they felt honored. Can you take me with you? Yi Qinghan walked over and said with a smile. Yang Zhan and were immediately overjoyed. They had seen Yi Qinghan's strength with their own eyes. If Yi Qinghan was willing to go, then that would be for the best. Perhaps they would be able to go deeper and obtain more prey. Even the casualties would be greatly reduced. If Master Yi is willing to go, that would be great, Yang Zhan said excitedly. Father, I want to go too. He looked at Yi Qinghan, hoping that he could go out with him to gain some experience. You can't do that. You have to stay and look after the house. All the strong men in the village have left, leaving behind only a few orphans and widows. What if someone comes to steal the food? Yang Zhan refused without hesitation. Forget it. If he wants to follow, then let him. The village has my son to take care of it. Nothing will happen, Yi Qinghan said calmly. I don't think it's a good idea to just leave 3 girls behind, right? Yang Zhan was a little doubtful of Emperor Ye's strength. Yi Qinghan coughed dryly and laughed. Don't underestimate those 3 girls. They're all stronger than me. Yi Qinghan's words were firmly believed by Yi Qinghan. Yang Zhan didn't say anything else. With Yi Qinghan accompanying him, it was the best opportunity for him to gain some experience. One day, he would take over and lead the villagers in their struggle. In order to save time, Yang Zhan led a large group of hunters deep into the mountains. Yi Qinghan only wanted to familiarize himself with the terrain and see the savage beasts of the upper plain. He was also bored, so he wanted to come along. Many of the hunters knew that Yi Qinghan was no ordinary person, but they didn't know how strong he was. He was much stronger than the village chief, who was a lesser god priest. Anyone stronger than the village chief was at least a lesser god priest at the peak. Many people looked at Yi Qinghan enviously. He had reached the peak of a lesser god priest at such a young age. It was unattainable. The snow in the mountains was even heavier, and the ground was quickly covered in snow. Some of the savage beasts' footprints were very obvious. Many of the savage beasts had begun to forage for food in preparation for winter. Although the savage beasts of the upper plain were powerful, the snow of the upper plain was also terrifying. It could even freeze a lesser god priest to death. Chapter 8:27. The snow continued to fall, and the hunters were shivering from the cold. The bone-piercing pain made the crossbows in their hands tremble. The leather gloves that they had refined themselves could not block the cold wind and snow at all. Yi Qinghan looked at them. He was dressed in a single layer of clothing that fluttered in the wind, but his face did not turn red or his body trembled. This made some of the young hunters tremble. Yi Qinghan suddenly trembled, and a large amount of fire elements enveloped everyone. Yang Zhan and the rest felt warm all over, and the warmth came from their bones. They immediately looked at Yi Qinghan in shock. "It's fine. It's just a small trick. Everyone, continue to go deeper," Yi Qinghan said calmly. The hunters looked at Yi Qinghan gratefully, and continued to follow Yang Zhan. ****** ran to Yi Qinghan and said with a smile, "Lord Yi, you're so capable. Does it feel warmer by your side? Follow me if you feel warm." Yi Qinghan shrugged and smiled. It really does feel warmer." Perhaps it was a psychological effect, but he even took off his leather glove. Yi Qinghan did not reply. In fact, he did not take special care of *********. He only released some fire elements to raise the temperature around them. The divine bird woke up slowly and looked at the ice mountains and snow around them. Some birds were flying, preparing to kill some wild beasts to survive the winter. It could not help but ask in confusion, "Where is this? Why do I feel that this is not the middle plain? This is the upper plain. Let's travel for a while and return to the mythical plane when we reach the Master God level," Yi Qinghan said calmly. "This place is so strange, but I don't know what's wrong. Perhaps we can find something if we continue to go deeper." The divine bird's white feathers stood up and looked into the depths. It was a vast expanse of white, and it could not see anything. The group entered the periphery of the mountain range and began to hunt. If they encountered large creatures, they tried their best to avoid fighting them head-on. These creatures were too strong, and even if they worked together, they would not be able to defeat them. Yi Qinghan nodded. These hunters were never greedy, and they didn't expect him to take action just because he was here. They were all prepared to risk their lives for him, and this attitude made him very satisfied. After half a month of continuous hunting, everyone's universe rings contained a lot of flesh, fur, and demon cores of ferocious beasts, which were equivalent to human godheads, but of a very low level. The internal space of these people's universe rings was very small, so small that they could only store some prey. They couldn't even store a large creature. The snow was getting heavier and heavier, and the mountain range was about to be sealed off. The vicious beasts that appeared were getting more and more ferocious. In order to get food for the winter, almost all of them were fighting to the death. The mountain range was getting more and more dangerous. Although Yang Zhan knew that he would be able to hunt for good things at this time, he was content. There's still half a month before the annual celebration, and the snow is about to seal off the mountain range. We should go back. If we don't go now, I'm afraid we won't be able to go back," Yang Zhan said in a deep voice. The 100 or so hunters were abnormally excited. With Yi Qinghan around, this winter was like a warm spring. They didn't feel cold at all. Moreover, whenever they encountered a powerful vicious beast, Yi Qinghan would always make a move at the most crucial moment. Until now, other than a few who were injured, none of them had died. There wasn't even a single one who was heavily injured, and their harvest was much more than before. "Village chief, let's hold on for 2 more days. 10 days is enough for us to go back." "That's right. It's not easy for Lord Yi to enter the mountain range. It's not dangerous for us, and we can bring more people with us. If we go back now, we won't have enough food," We still have to pay taxes at the beginning of spring. We can't possibly starve to death. Everyone agreed, hoping to take the risk and hold on for a few more days. If the snow seals off the mountain range, we won't be able to go back even if we want to. As for the food and taxes, we'll talk about it later. We can't possibly die here, Yang Zhan ordered without hesitation. Yi Qinghan did not mind. As long as they did not encounter a large group of half-step lord-level vicious beasts, he was still confident that he could bring this group of people out. However, they were already in the middle of the mountain range at this point. Middle-level vicious beasts often appeared. To avoid accidentally harming these hunters, he had secretly dealt with them. However, he just didn't tell them about it. The flesh, fur, and demon cores stored in his heavenly ring were more than what the humble village had hunted for in 100 years. Roar! Right at this moment, a wild beast roared. The tremor caused the snowflakes to rustle and the withered tree branches to sway. It was a desolate and terrifying scene. Soon, the prey appeared. Over 100 strong hunters spread out, lying in ambush in various places, ready to hunt. Yi Qinghan did not intervene in these matters. He could help them once, but not twice. Therefore, he stood aside and watched these people hunt quietly. After all, Yang Zhan was an experienced hunter. In order to take care of the humble village, he had ventured deep into the mountain range countless times. He was very experienced in hunting, and his combat strength was not weak either. Leading a group of people who did not even have an emperor-level cultivation base to hunt for emperor-level or lower-rank vicious beasts was extremely dangerous. However, Yang Zhan did not panic in the face of danger. He lay prone behind a hill and looked at the valley in front of him. On the other side of the valley, more than 10 vicious beasts of various shapes and sizes were approaching. They were all of the same race. They had the heads of tigers and the bodies of bears. Their muscular limbs were as strong as elephants and they weighed over 10 tons. Every step they took caused the ground within a 5-kilometer radius to shake. They could clearly sense them when they were still 4 to 5 kilometers away from the hunter's position. Yang Zhan did not know what kind of vicious beasts were approaching, but Yi Qinghan did. He could not help but be surprised. He thought to himself, what kind of vicious beasts are these? Why do they look like hybrids? These vicious beasts were called tiger-bear beasts. They lived in groups and were at the peak of the mid-level Great Circle. Their skin was rough and their flesh was thick. They were extremely strong, and their explosive speed was extremely fast. Their defensive abilities were also very strong. Even a high god would find it difficult to kill them. Moreover, if a high god was surrounded by tiger-bear beasts, even a high god would die without a doubt. Yi Qinghan's figure flashed, and he curiously came to ************ as side. He waved his hand in front of him, and the image of the tiger-bear beasts appeared. He asked, "Do you know what kind of vicious beast this is? Why does it look so strange?" Gulp. ********************************************************************************************************************e asked. "It can't be these vicious beasts that are approaching us, right? How many are there?" "About 10. What's wrong?" Yi Qinghan asked. ****************************************************************************************************************************************่Father, there are tiger-bear beasts on the other side of the valley. There are more than 10 of them. Let's run." "What? Who told you that?" Yang Zhan was shocked. If it was really tiger-bear beasts, this group of hunters wouldn't even be enough to fill the gaps between their teeth. "It was Master Yi who told me. It's absolutely true." Said in shock. Roar. The tiger-bear beasts seemed to have smelled the scent of human blood. They crazily trampled the valley and rushed over from all directions. The distance of 5 to 6 miles was crossed in the blink of an eye. Gulp. All the hunters were dumbfounded. They kept swallowing their saliva and looked at the dozen tiger-bear beasts with despair in their eyes. Yi Qinghan curled his lips and pulled over. He said speechlessly, I asked you to tell me what kind of vicious beast this is. Why are you running? This is a super vicious beast. Master, can you save us? Asked with a trembling voice. Roar. More than 10 vicious beasts pounced on the hunters at the same time. They opened their bloody mouth. The humans were like tiny dots in front of them. They liked to heat up human blood and liked to suck the blood of humans. All hunters above Emperor level formed teams of 3. Hold back the tiger bear beasts and cover the others to escape. Yang Zhan roared. He was so desperate that he had given up on life. He seemed to have forgotten about Yi Qinghan. At this moment, Yi Qinghan suddenly flew into the sky and pulled out his sword. The sword light in the sky cut through the mountains and rivers and turned into dozens of sword shadows. It destroyed everything in its path and accurately killed the tiger bear beasts' throats and fangs. Bang! The tiger bear beasts didn't manage to swallow the hunters. Instead, half of their teeth were broken. Their necks were directly pierced by the sword light. Blood spurted out from their throats and the ground was corroded. Boom. More than 10 tiger bear beasts fell to the ground at the same time. They didn't even have the chance to struggle. The hunter lost his voice, and the entire valley fell silent. Yang Zhan looked at Yi Qinghan in shock. He had always thought that Yi Qinghan was only a mid-level priest, or at most a mid-level Great Circle priest. He had never expected that Yi Qinghan's strength had already exceeded the scope of his understanding. Boom. Couldn't react in time and directly knelt in front of Yi Qinghan. Senior, are you the great master god? Was completely stunned and asked in horror. Get up. I am not the master god. If I were, would I have wasted my time waiting for the flowing cloud boat? Yi Qinghan raised his hand and lifted off the ground. Senior, this old man really didn't know that you were such a great existence. Please forgive me for offending you. Yang Zhan was also stunned by Yi Qinghan. He completely ignored the fact that the amount of flesh and blood on the ground was enough to support the poor village for decades or even centuries. Senior, thank you for saving my life. The hunters all knelt down. They had thought that they were going to die for sure and that the humble village was about to be destroyed, but they never thought that Yi Qinghan would be able to kill more than 10 of these invincible giants in one move. Yi Qinghan mobilized his divine power and helped everyone up at the same time. He hurriedly said, Get up, all of you. There's no need to kneel. Consider this my rent for the next 2 years. Take these corpses with you. We have to hurry back. Otherwise, it will be troublesome if the snow closes the mountain. Yang Zhan and the others excitedly looked at the tiger bear beast's corpse on the ground. They couldn't help feeling a bit awkward. They didn't know how to dismember such a huge vicious beast, nor did they have the ability to do so. Just the blood alone could burn them to death. Senior, can you help me dismember it? He scratched his head and asked. Only then did Yi Qinghan react. He brandished his saber and cut off all the limbs of the tiger bear beast. He casually took one of the demon nuclei and left the rest behind. Everyone took the flesh, fur, and demon nuclei. They didn't even leave the skeleton behind. Have these people gone crazy from poverty? The divine bird rolled its eyes and said speechlessly. Yi Qinghan smiled and followed the crowd back the way they came. With Yi Qinghan's protection, even if they got lost or ran into danger, they would be able to turn the situation around. After wasting 12 days, Yi Qinghan and the others finally returned from the mountain range. They saw dozens of big men kneeling on the training field outside the village. Their cultivation wasn't bad, at least at the emperor level. There were also 4 lesser god priests. However, they were only wearing underpants and not even a shirt. They knelt on the ice and snow. Their bodies were purple and their bodies were trembling uncontrollably. Hundreds of children were standing on top of the fortifications of the humble village. All of them were watching without blinking. Chapter 8:28. When Yi Qinghan and the others returned to the humble village, they saw a group of practitioners kneeling outside the village. The hunters were shocked. These were the famous experts within a 1,000-li radius, or rather, they were bandits from the Drifting Cloud stronghold. Some of them were experts from the Tai family village, and they were all famous experts. At this moment, they were all kneeling here, and even their clothes had been stripped off. Yi Qinghan did not even need to think. He knew that it was done by Emperor Yi and the others. They were bored, so it was normal for them to meet some bandits to vent their anger. Esteemed Lord, we cannot offend this group of people. Otherwise, if they take revenge, our humble village will be finished. Yang Zhan said in horror. No matter, let's return to the village. Before I leave, I will remove the power behind them. Yi Qinghan said indifferently. Yang Zhan looked at the several peak lesser god priests kneeling on the ground and could not help but feel a chill. Yang Zhan, you have big guts. If the second master knows, he will definitely slaughter your entire village. The strongest among them was a middle-level god priest. At this moment, he was looking at Yang Zhan and the villagers of the humble village with resentment. He didn't dare to vent his anger on Emperor Yi and the others, but he dared to threaten the humble village. Humph! Yi Qinghan groaned and launched a soul attack, quietly extinguishing that person's soul. That person's head tilted and directly fell to the ground. The remaining dozens of people did not dare to threaten Yang Zhan anymore. Yi Qinghan looked at the hunters who were trembling with fear. They did not dare to offend this so-called Drifting Cloud stronghold. He knew that if this stronghold was not destroyed, they would not be able to celebrate the New Year celebration. He frowned and lifted up a bandit with good cultivation. His divine sense forcefully entered the bandit's sea of consciousness and plundered his memories. After finding the location of this stronghold, he said, "You guys go back to the village first, I will be back soon." Before Yang Zhan and the others could react, Yi Qinghan killed this group of people with a single slash of his blade and turned around to leave. 3,000 miles away, white snow covered the land. Numerous mountain peaks stood tall and straight. This was the headquarters of the Flowing Cloud Citadel, which was home to hundreds of experts, ranging from paragon gods to ordinary lackeys. They controlled an area of thousands of kilometers, and enslaved the villagers to gather resources for them. Every year, they paid protection fees and taxes to the villagers. The will of the Flowing Cloud stronghold was the will of the villagers within a radius of a few thousand miles. The villagers could not unite, so they could only be bullied. The Flowing Cloud stronghold had existed for hundreds of thousands of years, but until now, no one had been able to shake their position. The Flowing Cloud stronghold naturally had someone backing it, otherwise, it would have already been swallowed up by other bandit strongholds. With countless villagers to enslave, the people of Flowing Cloud stronghold could obtain a large amount of cultivation resources without leaving the mountain. Even if it was winter, they did not have to worry about food. It was the New Year celebration, so they were singing and dancing. The second leader, Han Yu, was a middle-aged man. His cultivation was at the high level of the superior god priest, second only to the leader of the Drifting Cloud stronghold. Half of his face was covered by a beard. At this moment, he was hugging a few young women. They were all dressed in simple clothes. They should be the village girls who were forcibly abducted. My fifth brother brought some people to the humble village a few days ago. Why hasn't he come back yet? Have you sent people to investigate? Han Yu's rough voice sounded. He glared at the few spies below. Second leader, we are sending people to investigate. The humble village is a small place. The fifth master will definitely be fine. I think he is having fun in some village. He will probably come back tomorrow. You don't have to worry. The two spies quickly said. Well, after you find them, ask him to bring me a few female cultivators with good cultivation. You can leave now. Han Yu waved his hand to signal the spies to leave. He then hugged a few women and moved his big hands around them. Those women were all village girls. They were so scared that their faces turned pale. They kept screaming, but Han Yu gave them a few slaps on the face. If you don't cooperate, I will destroy your whole village. Han Yu threatened in a stern voice. The women did not dare to speak. They did not even dare to move. They just let Han Yu do it. However, the spies had just left for a few moments when they hurriedly rushed in again. Second leader, it's not good. Someone is fighting their way up the mountain. The spies quickly knelt and said, Bastard! Can't you see that I am busy? If someone is fighting their way up the mountain, then kill him. What are you doing here? Han Yu's mood was ruined. He immediately shouted angrily. He is too strong. He is already halfway up the mountain. His attacks are ruthless. Until now, he has not left a single survivor. The spies hurriedly said. Halfway up the mountain, Yi Qinghan carried Zhong Kuang and wandered around aimlessly. He killed anyone he saw. He did not even ask a single question, nor did he answer the questions of the bandits. The corpses rolled down the slope. There were only a few hundred bandits in total. Yi Qinghan had killed half of them. He did not even take the universe rings from the corpses. He just walked away after killing them. Han Yu rushed out of the main hall. When he was halfway up the mountain, he looked at Yi Qinghan and angrily asked, How dare you offend my flowing cloud stronghold? Don't you know that our boss is a disciple of the Water Sword sect? Boom. His reply was Yi Qinghan's sudden attack. His saber cut through the air and killed more than 10 powerhouses behind Han Yu. Even Han Yu did not manage to escape. His body was sliced in half at the waist. A destructive aura spread to his limbs and bones. He was a high and mighty high god, but he did not even have the chance to struggle. His eyes were wide open, and he died with a grievance. I don't know. Yi Qinghan stepped over Han Yu's corpse and said calmly. He then continued walking up the mountain. A powerful aura was awakening at the top of the mountain. His cultivation level was actually half-step lord level. Ha ha ha! I've finally broken through to half-step lord level. With a roar, an old man in his 50s charged out of the mountain. His hair was black and white, and his aura was quite impressive. However, having just broken through to half-step lord level, he could not control his current cultivation level well. He was the great boss of the Drifting Cloud stronghold, the famous Lu Yun. He was also a disciple of the Water Sword sect, the most powerful sect in Hanqin County. He collected resources for the Water Sword sect and exchanged them for contribution points. As long as he had 100,000 contribution points, he could become an inner sect disciple of the Water Sword sect and listen to a lord's sermon. Currently, he had already exchanged them for 90,000 contribution points, and his cultivation level was now half-step lord level. He was extremely excited, but he did not know that extreme joy could turn into sorrow. He bumped into Yi Qinghan as soon as he came out of closed-door cultivation. Who are you? Why are you behaving atrociously in my Drifting Cloud stronghold? Lu Yun questioned coldly with a frown. I'm Death. Naturally, I've come to the Drifting Cloud stronghold to take your life. Yi Qinghan mocked him with a smile. He suddenly moved in a flash and unleashed 50% of his combat strength. He turned into 10,000 afterimages and surrounded Lu Yun. His attacks were ruthless, and each strike was fatal. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, the space shattered continuously. Before the miserable Lu Yun could even show off his cultivation base, Yi Qinghan hacked him into pieces. His vigorous qi and blood instantly dried up, and he died without a complete corpse. Lu Yun did not even know why he had died. His broken body fell to the ground and he could not get up. His blood dimmed and seeped into the ground. Yi Qinghan still did not let go. Instead, he extended his divine consciousness into the drifting cloud stronghold and killed all the several hundred people in the bandit lair. Not a single one was spared. The large group of slaves was so shocked by Yi Qinghan's cold aura that they dared not speak. They fled in panic. Yi Qinghan turned around and returned to Humble Village. That day, news of the bandit lair being wiped out spread throughout Hanqing County. Some people were happy while others were sad. However, the most powerful sect in Hanqing County, the Water Sword sect, was furious. Chapter 829. The news of Drifting Cloud Camp's destruction spread like wildfire. Everyone within 100 miles was excited. The eve of the celebration was so festive, with lanterns and decorations everywhere. Little did they know that as long as the Water Sword sect was still alive, Drifting Cloud Camp could easily support 100 more puppets. With Yi Qinghan's return, anyone from the Humble Village who had the slightest bit of intelligence would know that Yi Qinghan had massacred the Flowing Cloud stronghold. All of them came to the outskirts of the village to wait. They treated Renhuang Yi and the others like they were true supreme gods. They took out the best spirit fruits to entertain them. The fruits were very rare. Emperor Yi and the others ate them, but they didn't feel that they were precious. Instead, the divine kingdoms they took out made the children envious, and the hunters drooled. Emperor Yi and Dongqin were both very rich. There was no need to mention Emperor Yi, but Dongqin had the celestial treasure battle physique. Ordinary things wouldn't even enter her eyes. Anything that she could take out would be enough to allow her to have a meteoric rise. The two most talented children in the Humble Village, a boy and a girl, were only around 12 years old. However, in a single night, she had nurtured them to become lesser gods. Their godheads were even superior godheads. The boy was called Yang Hu and the girl was called Yang Yu. They were blood-related siblings. Their mother was the only one left in the family. Their father had died in battle while hunting. The entire village watched excitedly as Yang Hu and Yang Yu's cultivation soared. They were so excited that they did not know what to do. For someone with the celestial battle body, this was a piece of cake. Otherwise, Zixian wouldn't have asked her to help him become a supreme god. Only someone with the celestial battle body had the qualifications to push Zixian to the supreme god level. Yi Qinghan couldn't do it. He himself might not even reach that level. Yi Qinghan stepped into the training field of the village. The dozens of corpses had already been cleaned up. Yang Zhan and Yang Hu came to greet him, unable to hide their joy. Master, you've worked hard. We've been living in an abyss of suffering. Drifting Cloud Camp has squeezed us dry every year. Sigh. Yang Zhan said sadly. It's fine. There won't be a Drifting Cloud Camp or a Water Sword sect in the future. Let's have a good celebration, Yi Qinghan said calmly. A grand sect that even had a sovereign actually relied on exploiting the common people to survive. Yi Qinghan definitely couldn't stand such a sect. So what if it had a sovereign? How could the combined forces of 4 monstrous geniuses fail to kill a master god? Yang Zhan and ***************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************ă̈ Within a radius of several thousand kilometers, it was a colossal existence. Yet Yi Qinghan said it did not exist and it did not exist. Just how strong were his foundations? However, Yang Zhan felt that it was best not to ask about this matter. The more he knew, the worse it would be for the Humble Village. The group returned to the village. Yi Qinghan and the others had never celebrated with the ordinary villagers, so they felt a different kind of feeling. Yi Qinghan looked at the starry sky and suddenly missed the endless plains. He wanted to go back to Owl Warstar to accompany his mother and children. Emperor Yi looked at Yi Qinghan in a daze. He stepped forward and held his arm. He rested his head on Yi Qinghan's broad shoulder and said gently, "All of a sudden, I've thought it through. I want to go back to the Qin clan to take a look. I want to go back to Shao Yun planet to take a look." Emperor Ye's surname was Qin, and the blood of the Qin family still flowed in his veins. Even though his heart belonged to Yi Qinghan, he still missed him deeply. He still had some feelings for the Qin family. Back then, whether or not Qin Ning had used her to divert the world's attention from her brother, or whether he had truly been good to her, Emperor Yi was still grateful to her. If not for her, she might not have lived to meet Yi Qinghan. When a person grew up and reached a high and mighty level, looking back, many things could be let go. Emperor Yi let go, and his heart was filled with happiness. He no longer felt that the world was cold and indifferent. Yi Qinghan smiled and pulled Emperor Yi into his arms. He nodded and said, "I also want to go back and take a look. Most of my old friends from back then should have left." After Yi Qinghan nodded in agreement, Emperor Yi smiled like a blooming flower. The divine bird's bones were sore from the two's display of affection. It shook its head and left, singing and dancing with the villagers. On the eve of the annual celebration, coupled with the destruction of Drifting Cloud's stronghold, the villagers were abnormally excited. It was to the point of staying up all night. In addition to the dozen or so corpses of tiger-bear beasts, it was enough for all the villagers to eat for an entire winter. The snowy moon grew bigger and bigger, and Yang Hu and Yang Yu's cultivation continued to rise. Before daybreak, they had already rushed into the realm of Middle God. The spiritual energy of the divine kingdom in their bodies raged, constantly transforming into divine power and rushing into their godhoods. Dong Qin looked at her masterpiece and smiled happily. The nearby villagers were immediately mesmerized, and even the women were subdued by her charm. Suddenly, Yang Yu gave a muffled groan, and her body exploded. Her skin, which could be broken with a flick of a finger, was stained with blood. She then fell into a pool of blood, alarming the villagers. Yang Yu was only a 12-year-old child, but after being catalyzed by the divine fruit, she seemed to have grown up to 7 or 8 years old in a short night. She had become a slender and elegant young lady about 1.6 meters tall. She had the simplicity of a villager, but also the temperament of a fairy. Now that she had fallen, how could everyone not be shocked? Dong Qin was astonished. She had personally witnessed her and Yang Hu's breakthrough, so nothing should have happened. Why did Yang Yu suddenly lose control and stain her divine body with blood? Soon, Dong Qin examined Yang Yu and didn't find any problems. However, her body had become extremely weak at the moment, and even the wounds on her body couldn't heal. Zixian was also helpless. Yi Qinghan was alarmed. He brought Emperor Yi to the martial arts field in the village and saw Yang Yu's body twitching as if she was in extreme pain. He reached out to touch Yang Yu's arm and couldn't help but frown. "Taoist Dong Qin, what did you feed her?" Yi Qinghan asked in astonishment. "Drunken god fruit, this is a first-rate divine medicine. It doesn't have any side effects. Look, even Yang Hu is fine." Dong Qin guaranteed. Yi Qinghan couldn't care less. He mobilized the wood element to protect Yang Yu's heart and veins, and used his powerful life force to heal her wounds. However, her wounds couldn't heal at all. Even if they healed, they would immediately rupture. This is the rarely seen white blood 9-in physique. Her physical body is extremely weak. Once her body is damaged, a large area will shatter and there's no way to repair it. It's a miracle that she's still alive. Yi Qinghan discovered the source of the problem and was rather shocked. This was because the white blood 9-in physique was too rare, so rare that one couldn't be encountered in an epoch. Moreover, those that could be used were even rarer. Yi Qinghan had never heard of the white blood 9-in physique before, but the secret history that the second sorcerer had given him mentioned the 10 great physique. The white blood 9-in physique was the most unlucky physique. This type of blood was a spiritually connected supreme treasure, but it was almost impossible for such a physique to survive. The white blood 9 physique wasn't bad. It was a special physique after all, but it wasn't suitable for fighting. Once injured, one could only wait for death. However, if one cultivated to the overgod level, their combat strength would definitely be comparable to the 10 great physiques. Chapter 830. Yang Yu's blood was a supreme treasure, an important element for some top experts to see through life and death. In the primal chaos era, there was a white-blooded 9 body who had cultivated to the overgod level. His combat prowess was superb, and he could escape unscathed even with the white-blooded 9 body. However, he was forced to commit suicide by the overgod, unwilling to compromise and give his blood to the overgod for research. To this day, no one had truly become immortal. The primal chaos sorcerer god was dead, the great demonic god was suppressed, and the first-generation heavenly treasure battle body had died of old age. Who would dare to claim that they were immortal? The white-blooded 9 body was the only hope to this day. It could allow one to see through life and death and become immortal. It was rumored that when the white-blooded 9 body was cultivated to the highest level, one could transform into a red spider lily and travel between the yin and yang. Meanwhile, the overgod could refine the blood of the white-blooded 9 body and successfully see through life and death. The life and death that the overgod spoke of was not the death of the Tartarus. In that kind of death, one's soul would still exist, and one could even refine one's blood to be reborn. The life and death that the overgod spoke of was complete death and complete immortality. Yi Qinghan pondered for a moment and decided to save this life. Whether or not her blood could truly make one immortal, at least she was still alive. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan pulled Yang Yu out of thin air and poured the wood essence in his body into Yang Yu's body, saving her life. When the sun rose and the celebration officially began, Yi Qinghan transferred 90% of his wood essence to Yang Yu, leaving only 10% for himself. If he wanted to recover to his peak, he would need at least 10 years of bitter cultivation. However, the life force formed from the wood essence forcibly healed Yang Yu's wounds. Her blood stopped flowing, and her skin became translucent, flowing with divine light, making her appear more agile. This kind of body cannot be injured, not even the slightest external wound. Otherwise, even I can't do anything. If you want to save her life, it's best to have a complete crystal of wood essence. Yi Qinghan exhaled and said in a low voice, I have it. Without the slightest hesitation, Dong Qin took out a translucent crystal that contained a terrifying amount of life energy. Wood represented life, and a crystal formed from the essence of wood was a crystal of life. Let alone sovereigns, even overgods would fight over a supreme treasure like this. However, Dong Qin took it out. It was about the size of a fist, with a needle-sized hole in the middle. It was wrapped by a thin thread, but that thread was completely negligible. She hung the origin crystal on the unconscious Yang Yu. What? Are you going to train her? Yi Qinghan was quite surprised. The celestial treasure battle body was really generous to be willing to give away such a supreme treasure. This was not the wood origin in his body, which could be repaired after a period of bitter cultivation. If he gave away the wood origin crystal, it would belong to Yang Yu. It's fate that brought us together, so I'll just give it to her. I'm confident that no one can beat me to the point where I need the wood origin crystal to save my life. If it really comes to that point, this crystal alone won't be able to save my life. Dong Qin said indifferently. Ahem, if you sell this to some old monster whose life has come to an end, I'm afraid he'll be willing to pay any price. Yi Qinghan said calmly. Dong Qin shrugged and said disdainfully, As long as I want the supreme treasure of the world, there's nothing I can't find. I don't need to use this thing to exchange for it. Braggart! The parrot suddenly ran out and sneered disdainfully. You want to get beaten up? Don't think that just because you're a spirit-devouring parrot, you can get all the treasures in the world. Remember, a bird will always be a bird. At most, you'll be called a divine bird. In front of me, you're nothing. Dong Qin snorted coldly. At this time, Yang Hu officially broke through to the mid-level divine priest realm, but he also sucked dry the divine medicine in his body. This talent could only be regarded as above average, not even superior. Otherwise, with the effect of the drunken god fruit, it would be very easy to cultivate a high god. Yang Yu stretched and opened her eyes in confusion. She didn't know that she had died once, but because of the support of Yi Qinghan's wood origin, her cultivation directly rose to the great circle of high god realm. In other words, she was now a part of Yi Qinghan, but her battle strength couldn't reach the great circle of high god realm. After all, she didn't cultivate any secret arts and had no combat experience, so she was still very weak. Sister, what's wrong? Why are you all looking at me? Yang Yu's peerless face revealed a simple and naive look. After all, she was still a 12-year-old child. Yi Qinghan and the others looked at each other and didn't say anything about her situation. Now, the only ones who knew about Yang Yu's true constitution were Yi Qinghan and the other three. Yang Zhan and the others had been driven outside long ago. It's okay, Yang Yu. You have to cultivate the secret arts for a while, but don't hurt yourself, not even a little bit, Dong Qin said in a deep voice. Oh. Yang Yu nodded woodenly. Although she didn't understand, she knew that Dong Qin wouldn't harm her. Yang Hu, you have to protect your sister during this time. This is the secret art I prepared for you. You can't come out and walk around until you understand it. Dong Qin had put in a lot of effort to cultivate the brother and sister. She actually took out a book of high god-level secret arts and gave it to Yang Hu. Yang Hu respectfully received the secret art, but he didn't know how valuable it was. Yi Qinghan naturally had no interest in fighting with Dong Qin, even if he had to pay more than half of the wood origin crystal. The annual celebration had arrived, and all the villages in the vicinity were celebrating. However, Yi Qinghan was exhausted. He entered his courtyard and prepared to regulate his breathing and restore his wood origin. However, more than 10 figures charged toward the humble village from the drifting cloud fortress. They had already deduced Yi Qinghan's trajectory. 4 half-step lords had joined forces and brought more than 10 high gods to a place not far from the humble village. Zixian and Emperor Yi sensed it in advance and soared into the sky, blocking the group of people outside a mountain in front of the humble village. They stared at the group of middle-aged men. They were all dressed the same, so they must have come from the same sect. The Water Sword sect was the only one in Hanqing County who could have such a powerful organization. Emperor Yi and Violet Deity frowned as they looked at the dozen or so large men. Before they could even open their mouths to speak, the leader of the other party shouted, "This small place in the middle of nowhere definitely does not have any experts. These two have such high cultivation levels, so they are definitely in cahoots with that person. Let's capture these two first." Boom. The group of people didn't even give Emperor Yi a chance to speak. They charged toward him with swords in hand. Emperor Yi was furious. With a flip of his hand, he pulled out the Sun-Moon Divine Sword and Star Saber. He exerted a little force, and the divine robes wrapped around the sword and saber were shattered. The force shot into the sky, shattering the mountain rocks and sweeping forward. The dozen or so high gods and 2 half-step lords who were charging at the front were killed on the spot. Their corpses turned into a bloody mist that dyed half the sky red. Only the 2 half-step lords were left standing where they were in a daze, not knowing what to do. Chapter 831. Incorrect chapter numbers. Corrected now. Content is continuous. The two from the Water Sword sect were scared silly by Emperor Ye's strength. They hurriedly took a few steps back and said in a panic, "Sir, you've misunderstood. We've mistaken you for someone else. We're the deacons of the Water Sword sect. Please spare us this once for the sect master's sake." However, Emperor Yi did not think that they had mistaken him for someone else. They were looking for Yi Qinghan. Otherwise, they would not have mobilized so many experts for the humble village. "Who are you looking for?" Emperor Yi asked coldly. "We're looking for a young man. He killed our disciples. We've misunderstood. Sir, I'm sure you're not a local. We have a lord in the Water Sword sect." One of them seemed to be apologizing, but he was actually threatening Emperor Yi. The sect master of the Water Sword sect was indeed a lord, but he was of inferior quality among lords. That Lord Divine Spark had been refined by someone before him, and its grade was very low. Furthermore, he had refined it again, so his combat strength was even lower. However, the two from the Water Sword sect did not know that with Emperor Yi, Zixian, and the others working together, killing a lord like that would be extremely easy. Emperor Yi snorted and asked, "Is the Drifting Cloud Village your people?" "That's right," the person replied proudly, even intimidating Emperor Yi with the name of a lord. "Looks like we can't keep the Water Sword sect around." Emperor Yi muttered and swung his star saber at the person. Zixian opened her eyes and time froze. The two of them could not move at all. Emperor Ye's individual combat strength surpassed Yi Qinghan's, at least for now. It even surpassed all half-step lords. How could the two of them be a match for her? A saber gleam flashed, and the two of them were wiped out right away. The 10-odd people from the Water Sword sect were wiped out before they could even see Yi Qinghan. Their life cards were all shattered, and a huge commotion broke out in the Water Sword sect, which was tens of thousands of kilometers away. 5 half-step lords and 10-odd exalted gods had actually met with trouble in a remote village. Even the lord of the Water Sword sect, LV Junyi, had been alerted. LV Junyi was already on the verge of collapse. If it weren't for the fact that he had coincidentally obtained a substandard Sovereign Divine Spark, he would have died long ago. After obtaining the Sovereign Divine Spark, he had wantonly expanded his territory, and the entire Hanqing County had become his sphere of influence. He was ruthless and merciless, killing the goose that laid the golden eggs. He had caused fear and trepidation in the hearts of the people, and yet he continued to act as he pleased, not caring in the slightest about the lives of the common people. LV Junyi, whose face was full of wrinkles, looked at the 3 elders of the Water Sword sect with a frown and asked coldly, "Where did they go? Why did they die at the same time?" Great Elder Xuefeng's face was also ugly. After thinking for a moment, he said, "There was a problem with the Flowing Cloud stronghold. It was uprooted by a young man, and the entire stronghold, more than 1,000 people, were killed. According to our spies, this person was in the humble village. I ordered them to execute this person on the spot and destroy the humble village. To be able to wipe out 5 half-step lords and 10-odd exalted gods at the same time, that person must have a powerful background. However, a powerful dragon cannot defeat a snake in its old haunts. He dared to kill the deacons of the Water Sword sect, so he doesn't take me seriously. Come with me." LV Junyi's killing intent flashed, and he got up and walked out. The entire humble village was still celebrating, singing and dancing. Large amounts of meat were being barbecued, and the aroma could be smelled from far away. Yi Qinghan had already begun to regulate his breathing. He had swallowed a large number of divine pills and medicines, and his wood origin was rapidly recovering. Although Emperor Yi and Zixian had killed the people of the Water Sword sect, they did not tell Yi Qinghan, nor did they tell the people of the humble village. They hoped that they would celebrate the new year happily. At that moment, the 3 beauties could not help smiling as they watched the villagers of the humble village celebrate happily from the periphery. Yang Yu was extremely obedient. She followed Dong Qin, and her cultivation improved by leaps and bounds. The wood origin crystal hanging around her neck continuously supplied her with life essence, slowly changing her physical body. It could not cure the fatal weakness of the white blood Ninine body, but it could at least reduce the chances of her being injured. Time flew by. That night, LV Junyi led the 3 Grand Elders and appeared near the humble village. Emperor Yi sensed in advance and immediately informed Dong Qin and Zixian. The 3 did not have time to inform Yi Qinghan, so they rushed to the opposite side of the mountain and stopped LV Junyi's group 10 li away. LV Junyi's eyes lit up when he saw the 3 beauties. He thought to himself, what exquisite women! Their vitality is abnormally strong. If I can harvest their yin to replenish my yang, I might be able to return to my youthful state. Attack, capture these 3 alive! LV Junyi immediately said. Boom! Without saying a word, LV Junyi took the lead. The majesty of a sovereign god suppressed the will of the great Tao. His aura soared through the galaxy, shattered the mountain, and rushed towards the humble village. Even the slightest aftershock could destroy the humble village. The terrifying aura caused the excited villagers of the humble village to fall into despair. They looked at the aftershock coming from outside the village in horror, waiting for death. Yi Qinghan was suddenly awakened from his meditation. He instantly erupted with a terrifying aura that rushed into the 9 heavens, forcefully blocking the aftershock outside the village. The humble village shone brightly, forming a giant rainproof barrier. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan stood up and walked out of the courtyard. He saw Emperor Yi conjure a giant chaos dragon. With a furious roar, it shattered mountains and rivers. Its giant tail smashed towards the 4 powerhouses, causing cracks to appear in the stable upper space. Freeze! Zixian swiped 2 fingers across her eyes, and a beam of astonishment shot out from her eyes. Emperor Yi had never seen her erupt like this. At that moment, he could clearly sense that even LV Junyi's figure had frozen. It was as if time had stopped, but she was not affected. Boom! The figures of the 4 powerhouses froze, but Emperor Yi did not stop attacking. The giant tail shattered space and time, directly smashing towards them from the edge of the universe. It smashed the 4 of them into the ground. The ground cracked and blood splattered across the galaxy. Apart from LV Junyi, the 3 half-step sovereigns only managed to let out a blood-curdling cry. Their life origins were completely suppressed by the chaos aura, and they died on the spot. Yi Qinghan defended the humble village with all his might. He was pushed back several steps by the force of the aura, and the outer defenses of the humble village were reduced to nothing. You damned thing! LV Junyi's flesh and blood splattered from Emperor Yi's tail. He roared furiously, and the frozen space was shattered by Emperor Yi. He shot into the sky and formed a seal with his hands, suppressing the 3 beauties. Used the Sunmoon Divine Sword and the Star Saber to kill him. Zixian's face was distorted by the force of the aura, and her legs were twisted. At that moment, she knew that Emperor Yi could not kill a lord with just his Chaos Dragon's origin. He could only kill LV Junyi by relying on the origin of his 2 battle constitutions. Ignite my origin! Spacetime freeze! Spurt! Zixian used her trump card once again. She even used the Purple Emperor's forbidden technique, burning her life origin as the price to completely freeze the space above her. It was like a universal barrier that could not be broken, causing her to cough up blood on the spot. However, LV Junyi's figure was targeted once again. This made him feel even more despair and fear than before. Impossible! Only LV Junyi's brain could move. He could not even move a single strand of hair. Only fear filled his mind, and he could not think at all. At that moment, Emperor Yi swooped down with the Star Saber and the Sunmoon Divine Sword in his hands. The 2 weapons clashed, and they went straight for LV Junyi's head. Once struck, even his godhead would be shattered by the 2 primary god weapons. Boom! Dong Qin turned into a sharp sword, piercing through space and shooting up from the ground. At the same time, she went for LV Junyi's heart. Chapter 832. LV Junyi looked at Dong Qin and Emperor Ye's figures in horror. They arrived in an instant and there was no way for him to dodge. He, who was as strong as a Lord God, couldn't break the forbidden technique of the Purple Emperor's lineage, space-time imprisonment. Space-time imprisonment was a forbidden technique among the alternate pupil technique. Once it was used, the caster's life force would be greatly depleted. The descendants of the Purple Emperor rarely used such a technique. Once they did, they could even kill a Lord God, not to mention that they were working together with Emperor Yi and the celestial battle body. Whoosh! The divine light shone for thousands of miles, and the aftermath shattered the mountain range. If it weren't for Yi Qinghan resisting the aftermath, the humble village would definitely be razed to the ground. Emperor Yi and Dong Qin were as fast as lightning, and they were not affected in the slightest by the imprisonment of time and space. Their swords and sabers danced, and they slashed down from the 9 heavens. A dark and silent crack appeared in the sky above, and it directly split open LV Junyi's head. Another beam of sword light pierced through his chest. Boom! The powerful Lord God's Tao physique was instantly torn apart, and blood stained the sky. Die! Emperor Yi and Dong Qin attacked at the same time. Their soul attacks and the 2 great natal divine weapons surrounded LV Junyi's soul at the same time. No matter how strong his soul was, it was powerless against the sun and moon divine sword and the starry manic blade, as well as the soul attacks of 2 great cultivators. Ah! LV Junyi let out a shrill scream. His divine spark was shattered, and the crack on his Lord God's divine spark was shocking. His soul was exposed, and he was like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Boom! LV Junyi's head exploded, and only the broken divine spark was left. However, he still couldn't break free from Zixian's imprisonment. He could only watch as Emperor Yi and Dong Qin attacked. In the blink of an eye, the space collapsed, and the Lord God's divine spark was completely shattered. His soul was directly exposed. Whoosh! LV Junyi roared. His soul was ferocious, and he launched his most powerful soul attack. It covered more than 10 miles and concentrated around the humble village. The 3 experts were hit hard, and even Emperor Yi couldn't take it. No matter how weak the Lord God was, he was still a Lord God. He coughed up blood and flew backward. Zixian was weak because he used the forbidden technique. He was directly hit by LV Junyi's soul attack. LV Junyi's soul attack made him dizzy, and he fell to the ground directly. But Lord God was still a Lord God's divine weapon. She was surrounded. She didn't retreat when LV Junyi launched his soul attack. She attacked was Lord God's too. She didn't retreat, she didn't retreat. She attacked, she was attack was to attack. He was to be to fight was fought was to form. Yi Qinghan frowned. Emperor Yi and the other 2's attacks, except for Emperor Yi, couldn't deal a fatal blow to LV Junyi. Dong Qin should have a soul defense Lord God artifact, which was why she didn't have to worry about LV Junyi's soul attack. But it was a little difficult for her to fight against a Lord God. However, the humble village needed to be taken care of. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan drew his berserk, ready to help Emperor Yi at any time, even if he had to sacrifice the humble village. But LV Junyi was only left with his soul. It was unrealistic for him to completely crush Dong Qin. Now, he could only wait for Emperor Yi to react. Zixian's face was pale. 2 streams of blood flowed from his eyes. His mind was in a mess. He lay not far away, not even having the strength to dodge. Emperor Yi reacted quickly. After all, his soul was as strong as a Lord God's, and he had a supreme godhead. How could he be hurt by a lord god like LV Junyi? Emperor Yi was multitasking. He controlled the divine sword and berserk sword to attack LV Junyi from the air. At the same time, he activated Emperor Zither. The Zither's murderous music covered the 9 heavens. Yi Qinghan watched as Emperor Yi quickly went to help Dong Qin. Knowing that she was fine, he grabbed Zixian from the air to prevent her from being killed by the aftershocks. Yi Qinghan guarded the humble village tightly. However, the villagers were still in a panic. This was because Yi Qinghan was barely able to defend himself at the moment. He was constantly being pushed back. The training field outside the humble village had been destroyed and collapsed. The outer defensive fortifications had all been destroyed. No matter how weak LV Junyi was, he was still a lord. The aftershocks from his attack with Emperor Yi, Dong Qin, and the other pupil lineage were enough to destroy most half-step lords. It was already a feat for Yi Qinghan to be able to forcefully defend himself. Everyone, retreat to the back of the village. Don't stand at the front, Yi Qinghan reminded the village chief, Yang Zhan, in a deep voice. Yang Zhan hurriedly organized the villagers to move backward. Now, he was pinning all of his hopes on Yi Qinghan. The nearby iron village had been razed to the ground by the aftershock. The entire village had been wiped out. There was no other way. There were no powerhouses in the village who could block the aftershocks at all. Apart from the iron village, 4 other villages were affected. Blood flowed like rivers, and many people died without intact corpses. At the moment, LV Junyi was on the verge of a breakdown. The soul attack that he was so proud of had lost its effectiveness. In the eyes of lords, even a combat body might not be a match for them. However, his divine body had been shattered by 3 juniors. Even now, his Tao body, which had evolved from his soul, was still no match for the 2 little girls. Who are you? Tell me your names. Don't hurt your own people. LV Junyi kept retreating, not daring to fight head-on. Emperor Yi had already evolved into a giant dragon. He kept swooping down with his mouth wide open, fangs leaping out of the void. He was like a demon from the primal chaos era who wanted to devour everything. He had no intention of negotiating with LV Junyi at all. LV Junyi was scared silly. Emperor Ye's aura was too powerful. It was as if the primal chaos over God had descended. Now Emperor Yi was prepared. His soul was hidden within the overgod persona, so his soul attack was like a joke. It had no effect on him at all. Instead, he was counterattacked by the overgod persona, causing his soul to grow weaker and weaker. Whoosh, LV Junyi fled. Emperor Yi and Dong Qin took the initiative to pursue and kill him. Otherwise, the Water Sword sect would come for revenge sooner or later. The battlefield of the 3 shifted, and the humble village was no longer affected. Yi Qinghan rose into the sky, and with a slash of his blade, he appeared 100 miles away. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan stared straight ahead. Emperor Yi and Dong Qin were chasing after LV Junyi, and the distance between them was getting closer and closer. Yi Qinghan unleashed Windmark and kept leaping through the air. He swooped down from another route and intercepted LV Junyi from the front. His long blade slashed through the air, and his tall figure stood proudly in front of him. He looked at LV Junyi, who was panicking, and his right hand clenched frenzy. LV Junyi discovered Yi Qinghan and roared, "Scram!" Whoosh! A streak of light tore through space and charged towards Yi Qinghan. Boom! Yi Qinghan's divine power erupted, and his 5 elemental Tao body was activated. His attack was peerless, and he killed LV Junyi with a single slash. The collision between the 2 caused the sky to collapse and the earth to crack. Mountains were flattened and countless creatures were killed. The 2 flew backward. Yi Qinghan was fine and he quickly stabilized his body. However, LV Junyi was unlucky. He was blocked by Emperor Yi and Dong Qin. The 2 powerful cultivators attacked violently, and LV Junyi was directly suppressed to the ground. Stupid donkey! I was about to go find you, but you came to me on your own accord. Yi Qinghan stepped toward LV Junyi. Seeing that LV Junyi was still forcefully maintaining his Dao body, he couldn't help but laugh disdainfully. He reached out and grabbed LV Junyi's soul. Chapter 833. LV Junyi was held in Yi Qinghan's hand. He couldn't even recover his soul state. His life and death were in Yi Qinghan's hands. His eyes were filled with terror. Fellow Taoist, it's a misunderstanding, LV Junyi begged in horror. Misunderstanding? Didn't you come to find me? I was the one who destroyed the drifting cloud camp. Yi Qinghan stared at LV Junyi and said indifferently, "The drifting cloud camp, a bandit nest. Everyone has the right to punish them. You killed them to enforce justice on behalf of the heavens. How could this old man blame you?" LV Junyi immediately changed his expression. He was afraid of angering Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan sneered and asked disdainfully, "Since everyone has the right to punish them, why did you raise so many bandits and plant them in Hanxing County?" Misunderstanding. You really misunderstood. They aren't my water sword sex people. They're from Qianxi City's heavenly divine sect. How could a small sect like us plant so many bandits in every county in Qianxi City? LV Junyi hurriedly explained. Is that so? Heavenly divine sect? But it's still related to your water sword sect. You didn't die unjustly. Yi Qinghan was incomparably cold. He directly devoured LV Junyi's soul. Boom! Yi Qinghan's sea of consciousness churned. His soul rapidly rose. This kind of soul-devouring secret technique was already a forbidden technique. The great demonic god's lineage used to love this kind of secret technique. However, the great demonic god felt that it went against the laws of nature and completely suppressed it. He didn't expect Yi Qinghan to comprehend it himself. But fortunately, Yi Qinghan didn't devour everyone's soul. Some people didn't need to exist anymore. Only then would he devour them, and they had to be experts. For an existence like LV Junyi, devouring his soul would not only strengthen his soul, but also devour all of his memories. LV Junyi's memories continuously appeared in Yi Qinghan's sea of consciousness. A large amount of information regarding Qianxi City was presented to Yi Qinghan. Only then did Yi Qinghan have a general understanding of Qianxi City and even the entire plain. However, there was one thing that made Yi Qinghan frown. He felt that it was somewhat impossible. The heavenly divine sect was actually a faction of the shaman's lineage. More importantly, the divine sect's relationship with the drifting cloud camp. Or rather, it was related to all the bandits in Qianxi City. LV Junyi was just a dog's dog. LV Junyi was just a dog. LV Junyi was just a dog's dog with the sex. LV Junyi was actually dog s was. After so many years of inheritance, the shaman's lineage had become so filthy. There should be many organizations like the Heavenly Divine Sect in the Sorcerer Tribe's camp. This was just the tip of the iceberg. Yi Qinghan sighed softly. The Heavenly Divine Sect was not to be trifled with. After all, it was a super-large sect that had been passed down since the Chaos Era. Its inheritance had never been severed. Its secret methods were powerful, far beyond what an ordinary sect could compare with. The elites in the sect were like fish in a river. There were many powerhouses, and even lords dominated an area. Qianxi City spanned hundreds of millions of kilometers. There was no telling where it ended or started. Many people would find it difficult to walk out of Qianxi City's sphere of influence in their entire lives. There were countless small counties like Hanxing County. However, not every small county had a lord like LV Junyi. No matter how low LV Junyi's cultivation base was, he was still a lord. Even if several hundred half-step lords worked together, they might not be able to kill him. However, there were many half-step lords in each city and county. Most of the princesses were kings of the same rank. These people all obeyed the orders of the heavenly divine sect. One could imagine how terrifying the heavenly divine sect's influence was. This upper realm was called the Dragonwalk continent. There were at least 6,000, if not 8,000 sects like the heavenly divine sect. There were also some transcendental organizations that occupied even larger territories. That was how big the Dragonwalk continent was. It was completely incomparable to a middle realm. Yi Qinghan had completely devoured the memories. He was not interested in those secret skills. The Lord-level secret skills that someone like LV Junyi could come into contact with were inferior goods. Yi Qinghan was not interested in them at all. Subsequently, Yi Qinghan told him about Qianxi City and the heavenly divine sect. He would have to act within his means as to whether or not he should care about the lives and deaths of all living things in Qianxi City. He would have to listen to Emperor Yi and Dong Qin's opinions. I don't care about that. I won't get involved in any of the matters between the two camps unless they provoke me. Otherwise, so what if they destroy the world? Dong Qin said indifferently. I'm afraid that if we destroy the Driftcloud Fortress and the Water Sword sect, even if we go against the Heavenly Divine sect, they'll come looking for us even if we don't go looking for them, Yi Qinghan said helplessly. Let's talk about it after they come. I don't cause trouble, but that doesn't mean I'm afraid of it. Not to mention the Heavenly Divine sect, even if the Sorcerer tribe provokes me, I'll still dare to kill them, Dong Qin said coldly. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. He did not know where Dong Qin's confidence came from. That child Wu Yan alone was not easy to deal with. Fortunately, Wu Yan's attitude towards him was still good. At least they did not go against each other. However, what he did not know was how Wu Yan viewed the heavenly divine sect's actions. Did he not know, or did he know but pretended not to see? The three returned to the humble village and decided to leave. Staying here would only harm them. The heavenly divine sect would find them sooner or later. After the annual celebration, Yi Qinghan and Zixian used about half a month to recover more than half of their exhausted source energy. They set off from the humble village and headed straight for the Water Sword sect. They passed by some villages and uprooted all of them. The news spread quickly. The people of the Water Sword sect were in a state of panic, not knowing where to go. However, Yi Qinghan would not be soft-hearted. He took the three beauties and spent 5 days appearing outside the Water Sword sect. He controlled the entire sect with his spiritual sense. Not even the slightest movement could escape his eyes. Kill them all. There's no need for this kind of sect to exist. They're used to living like princes. Even if we don't kill them, they'll gather again after we leave. Yi Qinghan's words decided the fate of the entire Water Sword sect. The three beauties did not retort. They entered the sect and began the massacre. Apart from the children and slaves, they killed everyone. The treasury of the Water Sword sect contained a large number of divine medicines of decent quality. Some of them even caused the divine bird and the celestial battle body to fight over them. If it weren't for Yi Qinghan acting as a mediator, this group would have fallen apart long ago. You have the celestial battle body. How dare you fight over treasures with this divine bird? Are you even human? The divine bird saw the celestial battle body snatch away a perfect divine source of chaos. It was unwilling to give up and roared furiously. Get out of here! Do you still have any shame? You stole my celestial treasure. This is something that can help one break through to the over-God realm without any bottleneck. If it weren't for the fact that a trashy force like the Water Sword sect had collected it, I wouldn't have let you off so easily. If you're interested in the divine source of chaos, how about I trade it with my divine medicine of chaos? Dong Qin's enchanting face turned ferocious. She flew into a rage out of humiliation and hated the divine bird to the core. The divine bird was disdainful. It clung tightly to the cosmos ring on its claw. Celestial treasures could only be found by chance. It still did not understand the use of divine medicines, but it would definitely understand in the future. In any case, they were much more valuable than divine medicine of chaos. Chapter 834. The divine bird and Dong Qin quarreled incessantly, but Yi Qinghan could not suppress the divine bird in his body. After all, the tiny water sword sect was hiding many treasures. LV Junyi was extremely greedy. He hid all the true treasures he had collected and did not hand them over to the celestial sect. He was ambitious and wanted to reverse the situation. Even if he could not destroy the celestial sect, he wanted to be on equal footing with them at the very least. Unfortunately, he was unlucky enough to run into Yi Qinghan and the others. Yi Qinghan and the others took advantage of the situation. For the sake of fairness, although Zixian and Emperor Yi did not have the advantage of searching for treasures, they still chose to split the treasures equally. After all, everyone had a share of the credit for killing LV Junyi. Zixian, in particular, had contributed the most, so it was only right that he received a portion of the reward. After splitting all the resources of the Water Sword sect, Yi Qinghan and the others did not care about the usual divine crystals. They distributed them to the villagers around them. Even the humble village received a lot of them. After the Water Sword sect was eradicated, the bandits in Hanqing County scattered like a fallen tree. They had also become a target of scorn. The people joined forces and uprooted many of the mountain strongholds. Hanqing County was just a remote and desolate place. Information was blocked there, and the celestial sect had not heard of it yet. Yi Qinghan and the others began flying toward the county city of Hanqing County. They cultivated and hurried along the way, helping the villagers eliminate the bandits if they could. Occasionally they would find some decent miracle medicine. The miracle medicine in the upper realm was much more potent than those in the middle realm. Moreover, there were more of them and they were older. After all, the space here was too stable. Ordinary half-step lords could fly extremely slowly. It would take a lot of time to travel and search for treasures in the vast upper realm. Sometimes they had no choice but to rely on the villagers to search for treasures. However, there were too few miracle medicines that the villagers could recognize. They only used the ones that were easy to identify. Most of the miracle medicines that grew on the cliffs had been there for countless years and were untouched to this day. With the four of them and the divine bird, no treasure could escape their eyes. They collected all the treasures along the way, so they did not feel bored. Just like that, a year and a half passed. Yi Qinghan and the others arrived at the capital of Hanqing County half a year before the drifting cloud boat departed. The four of them looked at the city of Hanqing County. They couldn't help but feel a little confused. Why was the city of the upper plain so desolate? There were only 4 walls in the house. These were the only words that could be used to describe Hanqing County City. The city walls were completely made of stone, and the houses in the city were very short and disorderly. They were only slightly better looking than the houses in the poor family's village. There was no plan at all, and the city was not big. There was still half a year before they set off from the flowing cloud camp, but there was not even a shadow in the city. There was only a wisp of smoke rising in spirals, telling the 4 that this county city was not a ghost town. "Brother Yi, are you sure you didn't lead the wrong way? How could this be the capital of Hanqing County?" Zixian looked at the so-called county city. It was a place where even birds wouldn't shit. It could even be considered an oasis in the Gobi Desert. He couldn't help but feel speechless. Yi Qinghan smiled. According to LV Junyi's memories, this was indeed the county city. The reason why there were so few people was because the villagers had to travel very far to enter the county city. On average, it would take 2 to 5 years for them to gather and trade. So, on normal days, this was a desolate place. Only a few inns were open for business. Yi Qinghan explained, This is the capital of Hanqing County. It's getting dark, so let's go in and find a place to stay. Rumor has it that ghost whirlwinds and sandstorms often occur here at night. They can even tear the bodies of gods apart. The tearing power is not inferior to spatial storms. These buildings look old, but they have all been specially treated. The foundations are very deep, so even spatial storms might not be able to tear them apart. Only then did Purple Deity and Emperor Yi pay attention to these stones. They discovered that although they appeared to be scattered, they were actually connected to each other. They were connected to the ground, and it was clear that they were piled up by a mountain. Dongqin looked at the buildings in the city and found that every house was built with celestial dipper metal as the foundation. They looked old and shabby, but they were actually fortresses protected by formations. Such a city had been passed down for countless years. It was understandable that it could become the city of Hanqing County. The four of them entered the city. There wasn't a single guard in the city. There was only a hunchbacked old night watchman. He looked as old as if he had lived for hundreds of thousands of years. His body was bent at a 90-degree angle. The sky gradually darkened. Dark clouds covered the stars. There was an inn that was still open for business. Although no one came in and out, the door was still open. From afar, there was a wooden sign hanging in front of the door. It swayed in the wind. Yi Qinghan could clearly see 4 words written on it. Dragon Gate Inn. Yi Qinghan quickly arrived outside the Dragon Gate Inn with the 3 beauties. He found that there were 2 lines of small words on the back of the wooden sign. The Dragon Gate faces south. Don't enter if you don't have money. Yi Qinghan and the others smiled. How much could it cost to stay in an inn for a few days? Moreover, Yi Qinghan and Dongqin were rare tycoons in the world. Especially Dongqin. There was no treasure in the world that she couldn't obtain. The treasures she had could probably be exchanged for a large city in the upper plane. Big pockmarked, do you want to F*King lose your job? It's already dark. Why aren't you closing the door? Are you waiting for ghosts to come? A sharp voice rang out from within the tavern. Although it was a woman's voice, it was very pleasing to the ears. However, for such a voice to suddenly erupt in this damned place, it caused goosebumps to appear all over Yi Qinghan's body. Boss Long, there's still 5 minutes left. I closed the door according to your rules. You can't blame me. An aggrieved voice broke the silence of the Dragon Gate Inn. You dare talk back? I'm going to pull out your front teeth. Go and lock the door. You're not allowed to eat tomorrow. The woman's voice roared again, breaking the silence of Hanqing County. Soon, a middle-aged man with a face full of pockmarks helplessly carried 2 metal plates and was about to seal the door. Yi Qinghan was 1 step ahead of him and stopped him. 3 rooms, Yi Qinghan said calmly. Big Pockmarked looked at Yi Qinghan in surprise. Then, he turned his gaze to Zixian, Dongqin, and Emperor Yi. His eyes flashed and he quickly took a step back. He shouted to the 2nd floor, Boss Long, we have rooms. For guests, should we entertain them? Nonsense. If we don't entertain guests, are we going to eat the northwest wind? An enchanting figure on the 2nd floor swayed her hips as she walked towards the hall. Yi Qinghan looked up at Boss Long. She was extremely enchanting. She was simply a femme fatale. Her figure could make men impulsive. Even a superior god couldn't resist her teasing. Yi Qinghan wasn't surprised. His pupils shrank and his eyebrows flashed. He knew that this person wasn't simple. She was very complicated. This inn isn't simple. There's killing intent. The 4 of them had the same thought at the same time. They were all on guard. Oh, what a handsome young man. TSK, you're so lucky to have 3 great beauties following you. Boss Long's voice changed. It was gentle and charming to the extreme. It could make one's bones itch. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.